Ah, hello. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion Spiral. By the way, I do that intentionally. When you start a live stream, you have several seconds before the stream will actually click in and register. So if I jump right into my introduction, part of that might get clipped off. I digress. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion Spiral Arm of the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere outside of Los Angeles, California. My name is BrianEngelman. Today is Monday, July 21st, 2025. And this is the TNAM Daily Show here on the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. On today's show, we're going to discuss the deep state grand conspiracy. One quick thought. There are a lot of pundits who are sort of missing the story. The Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence report exposing the treasonous activities of many colluding groups. That's the part I think we're missing. This isn't just about one group. This isn't just about one guilty party. This is the entire system conspired to silence you online, to force things into your body, to take your job away, to take your kids away, to take your country away, to take your purchase power of your monetary currency away, to turn you into the most groveling slave possible. That is the grand conspiracy that's unraveled. When they say, oh, we caught them all, and then you watch nothing happen, nobody get indicted, and you're going, I don't think you caught anything. You could barely catch COVID, old man. But now you're seeing the story unpack itself, and you go, well, forgive me if I don't want to hold my breath and trust a plan or something. We caught them all. Maybe. Because to people like us, it's been obvious for years. And we're just, okay, go. Start the indictments, go. All right, do the perp walks, go. What are we waiting for? That's been the question. What are we waiting for? So, has the first domino been clacked? Is the first arrest gonna shock the world? I don't know. We went through an entire 4-year Biden, whatever you want to call that, term. No justice. So forgive the people that don't want to just kick back and trust that there's some grand scheme at play. Oh, don't worry. No, everything can be explained away with, it's all part of the plan. Don't trouble your pretty little eyes about it. Oh, you. Tisk tisk, go back to sleep. Your divine lords and ladies will handle this. Don't mind me at all. Nah, that doesn't work for me, dog. Nah. Will there be justice? And by the way, is Alcatraz the perfect place to put all of the traitorous individuals from Fauci down to Obama to Clinton to Comey, Clapper, Brennan, the entire ball of wax? As it melts away, will the pieces fall out of that ball of wax? How hot will this heat become? But I think people are just missing the point on the Tulsi story. Like, well, it said this, but it didn't say that. And it kind of got, but it's not really a big deal. And legacy media is not covering it. Legacy media is not covering it because they are it. Smith-Mundt Act, NDAA. Look. The media have become co-collaborators, and that's the lying legacy media. Some of you like to say mainstream. There's nothing mainstream about it. That's the USAID media, the propaganda, the bullshit. That's why we created the new American media 14 years ago, because the old American media has failed you. You know that. You wouldn't be watching this program. Actually, some say watching, but it's more like participating. I see the comments coming in here on the side. Hello, Jeff, over on Facebook. Don't see Jeff in our live shows. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. This is an interactive program, so drop your comments. Ask questions, make jokes, participate. Tell me drop in the comments section. What stories do you want me to cover today? Is there anything you'd really like to hear some more perspective on? We're going to cover a lot of stuff. We're going to get to those stories on the Grand Conspiracy. A lot of unpacking happening this weekend. We'll talk about all of that. Also, there's two other things happening. The WNBA did some girl math. You know, girl math. You've heard of girl math. You know, and if somebody can help me in the comments, there was a comedian, I believe it was a male comedian. I feel like it was Jim Gaffigan or a Jim Gaffigan-esque styled comedian, maybe a middle-aged white guy, maybe. And it was this whole comedy routine, this bit. And I can't remember who it was. And I'm going to search on Grok right now. Reading the Obama-Clinton Grand Conspiracy. Which comedian has a bit including him saying, "Think about how much we'll save," while discussing spending a whole bunch of money? Think of how much we'll save. Yeah, Grok can't find it again. Yeah, Jeff, it is all hope porn. Hopium, copium. Oh, we'll get to all the comments in a second. Let me do this. We're going to launch the show. But the other topics we're going to talk about here, I was trying to get to think of how much we'll save. There's girl math. Oh, no, I bought this, but think how much we'll save because now I'm not buying a new handbag every month. I just bought this really super expensive one today. You're like, And it's become this internet joke, this whole girl math thing, but it works for guys as well. But the WNBA just did some ridiculous girl math. Pay us what we're owed, they yelled. They shrieked into the empty rafters of their cavernous basketball facility. Hello, 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 hello. I want more money, 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 money. But the money's based on ticket sales. But there aren't enough people interested in what we're doing to pay us more money that we think we deserve. Oh, yeah. Interesting girl math story. Also, President Trump has come out demanding that the Washington Redskins return and the Cleveland Indians return. I brought you this shirt today. See this shirt? I believe I got this shirt at the Cleveland Cavaliers victory parade or sometime right around that 2016 magical run. And so this is the blend of LeBron James with the headband in the earring, early LeBron, and Chief Wahoo. You know, I mentioned it the other day, the cross of Christ. It was like, oh yeah, here's your God. We're going to sacrifice him on these two sticks. Christians like, oh yeah, we're going to use those two sticks as a symbol of togetherness and lots of other things. They adopted the moniker. Our society has bristles. You go, ugh, when you hear certain words. There's a certain word that's dropped in a lot of Black culture, African American culture, hip hop culture, rap culture, entertainment culture for that matter. It's a word that starts with the letter, you know what? I don't even need to say it. But they have turned that word into something they call each other, and it just means dude. It's like, what's up, dude? Nothing, my dude. Dude, please. And you go, I thought that's either the worst word you're never supposed to talk about, and certainly I don't want to hear it if it's that bad, but now they're using it. Well, the Cleveland Indians. Louis Sockalexis was the very first player of Native American descent to make it in Major League Baseball. And the Cleveland Indians, Spiders at the time, were a trailblazing franchise. I'm going to tell you the story about it. And we're going to talk about Chief Wahoo. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Indians / Cleveland Guardians, the Washington Redskins / Washington Commanders, the whitewashing of American history. And President Trump has weighed in on this. So we get to talk about that as well. Because look, I'm not just a guy that covers the hard-hitting news. I also do a sports show called the Unhappy Hour Sports Show that you should be watching. We'll probably start getting into content with training camps beginning this week. Big Cleveland Browns fan here. We talk Indians, Cavs, Browns, Buckeyes, but all things sports related. Also, there's a special show we do called Strictly Football with myself, Brian Engelman, and Mike Barra. We need to schedule our next show, so I will keep you posted on that. But yeah. Also, if anybody wants a set of these, they're $30 and I'll mail them out to you. If anyone wants to support the program, let me put that up on the screen before we launch everything here. Donation links. There you go. If anybody wants one, and there's a pin down here. Do you see the Unhappy Hour Sports Show pin? Only 100 of these have ever been made. So these are 4 wooden Ohio-made coasters. So all of our donation links are at the bottom. If you want some, it'd be 100 for both. Oh, where is the? It's right here. Let me show you this one. Well, it should be right there. Don't know where that went. It's supposed to be right there. There's one shaped like the state of Ohio. There's one shaped like a circle for a perfect beverage. But yeah, 30 a piece or 50 for 2. What was it? What are we doing? 75 for all 3. But yeah, patreon.com / the New American Media, Venmo Cash App at Brian Engelman, and PayPal. We are fuzzinstallment at yahoo.com. Follow the New American Media at the bottom of the screen. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. The New American Media. Hit subscribe, hit like. Say hello, however you're watching today's program, by the way. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat, on X at American_Media_, and subscribe to our podcast. It's under the umbrella called The Agree to Disagree Show. That includes the TNAM Daily Show. The Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. Our numbers are growing over there with more subscribers. So if you're not yet subscribed on our podcast, if you'd kindly go over there and just give us a subscribe, a thumbs up, write a review or something, if you would. All those things matter. I'm one of those people that have never downloaded a podcast. I'm just like a YouTube guy, Rumble. I don't know. I just don't do podcasts. But if you're the type, please link up with us. It helps the algorithm and it helps launch this program into as many places as possible, because I love doing this. I love connecting with you 6 out of the 7 days a week. I follow Chick-fil-A's method of take a day off. Oh, wait, someone else had a take a day off kind of mentality. Like, oh, yeah. Sunday, the day of the week that reeks of rest. Yeah, but I really do enjoy this, and I want to get this program out to as many people as possible to make this as big of a hangout as possible. So thank you all for being here. Link up with us in the other platforms, because in between live shows, we communicate. You know, we get messages on X. If you have stories you're interested in, tag at American_Media_. Tag us on X. Leave messages in the Rumble comments. Today, I'm going to show you how. Let our ads play on Rumble. It's like tossing a penny in the wishing well. Hello, Patriot Warrior Texas on Rumble as well. Action and accountability now. Do it, he says. He's ready for this grand plan to unleash the hounds. John Boy says, we don't need any more investigations. We have the proof. John Boy, I've been saying this throughout all 4 years of Biden. What are we waiting for? I was there interviewing people on January 6th when there was a mostly peaceful protest, and then some people did some things. I was there interviewing people. We did a whole documentary on it. Declassified the unreleased J6 files. Held on to them for a while because the issue became so toxic. because they were trying to frame an insurrection. And these people were here going 81 million for Biden. It doesn't, there's no universe where that's remotely believable. We don't, but like, that's not, you need to review what's going on in these states. All the courts are passing the buck. They're going, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to, someone told me I don't want to get involved. It's like, bro, you're here to get involved. You're here to be a neutral arbiter, look at the basics and make a determination. And all the courts put their hand up. They go, you don't have standing to file here. It's like, dude, everybody has the right to file standing in a presidential count. Because somebody's impact in Iowa or Idaho or Indiana, anything with an I, is going to impact me wherever I happen to be. We all have standing. That was the dumbest fucking argument I've ever heard, is that so many of these people that brought the cases to the court, oh, you don't have standing. We can't. We all have standing. Every United States citizen has standing. But it took us through this 4-year monstrosity. We had proof. What do you say? We had proof in the Bush? Oh, in the Bush years. Oh, I mean, if you want to go back to the Bush years, I mean, you want to talk about a grand conspiracy? How deep do you want to peel the layers of the onion back? Hundreds of thousands of missing kids. You want to peel the layers of this onion back? Well, there's a reason we're demanding to know what's going on. This is the world we have to kind of navigate. But if our money's being devalued by shadowy characters, we need to kind of get involved in this and get that squared away. Don't you think? Our money's our time and treasure is being looted from us and then actively used to fund the things that are trying to overthrow the things that we love about this place. No thanks. No thanks. I'm not doing it. I'm not going along with it. I'm not accepting that. This is your country. We have a general operating protocol here. And I don't know what this has turned into, but it's time to unplug all the cables and wires and plug things back in. And essentially that's what Elon did in his audits. What was it, like the Medicare, Medicaid system, the Social Security system, the government databases for benefits, and how many numbers of people did we keep finding that didn't exist? They're 240 years old. Now, some of it might just be sloppy bookkeeping and it's not actively doing anything. It's just a ghost in the machine that floats there. It's not, or 40 million illegal alien invaders have been stationed across the country in an act of war, because we are in the middle of several different hot wars at the same time. And you damn well better believe that there are forces inside of America that intend ill will to us. Ask Lake and Riley's family. Now, Brian, that's just an isolated incident, you would say. Every day, every week, we talk about migrant crime from people that have been deported multiple times, people that we knew had a dark criminal history and should have never passed the screening process, which is why we have a screening process. Libertarians shriek, but we're free to go everywhere, man. Nah, bro. Put on whatever festival you want inside of the borders of your personal property. This is our country. You know, we have the right to ask. State your name and purpose. Let's take a look. What are you up to? What do you want? Why do you want to be here? How do we find you? What's the, yeah, if you want to go be a guest in someone, yeah, well, you just stole it, man. It's not like yours to put provisions on, man. Okay, so now you are admitting that we do have the right to set parameters, and we end up in this weird spot with libertarians. But the fact of the matter is, we have the right to know who's here and for what purpose. This is our place. We woke up in a world like this. We're trying to make the most of it that we can, because you know what? If we have limited resources, I would sure as hell rather take care of my neighbor than somebody from God knows where, from God knows what perspective they've snuck into this place, not going through the front door, not doing this legally, not doing this appropriately, just doing it. We have to sort that out. And with this grand conspiracy of treason unfolding, it's not hard to call this what this is. This is the Second American Civil War. This is the Democrat deep state declared war on America because of their actions. 100% Obama, Clinton, Steele dossier. Go through the laundry list that DNI Gabbard went through. Start peeling the layers of the onion back. How far do you want to go? How many dots do you want to connect? It's all there. And it's all been there. So what do we do now? Alligator Alcatraz? How about regular Alcatraz? Is that going to be the ultimate cage for Fauci and Obama and Clinton? Will there ever be justice? But that's my question to John Boy. He says, we don't need any more investigations. We have the proof. I'm saying we've had the proof for years and we still haven't seen anything. So is this all just a clever distraction? Or will anything come of this? And is there a nation that can be saved if we don't defend ourselves against treason? We're going to unpack these stories and more on today's episode of the TNAM Daily Show. Here we go.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Thank you all for being with me here today. Here we go. Comments on the side of the screen. All right. Deborah Rooney, not from San Francisco. Good morning. David Bann from Ottawa, Canada. Howdy, howdy. No, there was no cab fare. You know, occasionally you gotta handle a couple things with some vendors. It just it infiltrates our lives, doesn't it? Yeah, a couple of vendors and stuff. Burning question is, does Nimbus approve? Yeah, Nimbus had a good couple days now, which is good. He's had his fair share of not so great days. All right. Let's see. Scrolling through comments. Hit like, hit subscribe, however you are watching. And by the way, copy today's show. Click the share button. Like click share and copy. Shoot the text over to a couple of your friends, if you would. Or post it on Facebook or post it on X and go, hey, we're all live unpacking the news. Join us as we talk about the news. And share it with some of your smart friends, please. We are trying to grow. All right. Nimbus has his own secret tip jar. Does he? I wouldn't be surprised. He's got a fan club, that guy. Tulsi Rocks, says Deb. Yeah, Tulsi is, Tulsi was one of my brother's favorite politicians. I mean, no doubt about it. And to know that she's partnered with Trump, and he was a little suspicious and weary of Trump, and I was a little bit more, let's give him a shot, or a year or two in. It's like, yeah, I don't know, or 3 years in, 4 years. I'm like, he's doing a really good job, I think. All things considered. And imagine how productive he could have been if he wasn't facing an active treasonous coup. If he wasn't actively fighting off Clapper, Comey, Brennan, the entirety of the deep state, Clinton, Obama, Perkins Coie. I mean, it was impeachments and slander and lies and really subverting the will of the American people, getting in the way of letting him implement the agenda that the people of the United States voted in. I mean, that is the most civil rights violating bullshit I've seen ever. This isn't your standard situation. This is treason most foul. No doubt about it. Yeah, Tulsi does seem to be doing the right thing. Let's hope so. As I said earlier, Jeff called it all hope porn. Yes, I call that hopium and copium. Hopium and copium. Deb says the mainstream media is the deep state. Well, yeah. Well, the media is not reporting. Oh, you mean the media that's just doing their jobs? Nuremberg trial style? Those rhyme. Trial style. Anyway, yeah, they were key players. They are at the core of this media conspiracy, at this grand conspiracy, the media. Oh, 100%. And they've also derailed my media career by not letting my audience find my message, won't let the people find my product, won't let me monetize what it is that I do. Oh, you want to talk to someone that's been personally impacted? I'm not going to bore you with the stories now, but my God. Yeah, mainstream lying legacy media, they are the deep state. Oh my God. 100% accurate with them. Who's Fletch Vaughn and Haley initiating girl math? I don't know who that is. Comedian Samantha Jane made a TikTok video on girl math. Yeah, girl math is pretty ubiquitous. It's just a funny phrase. Think how much we'll save. Yeah. But look, if we spend 20 grand on this vacation now, think how much we'll save. You go, what? Look, just join this cruise line frequent membership thing and it'll bill you once a month. Think how much we'll save. Spend $7,000 and think how much we'll save. So yeah, lots of really old people in the Social Security system. Moses's age. Yeah, I mean there were people north of 200 years old, right? But that doesn't mean like, look, I've been in California, I've been outside of California, both before and after. I could be in a system for various programs in different states. It doesn't always necessarily mean it's like, oh, look, somebody's gaming the system. They're signed up for whatever healthcare coverage in all 3 states. And you're like, huh? If I'm still active in some other state system, that's on them. Doesn't mean I'm using it, but it does mean that if it's still active, somebody could identify it, link it to a fake or stolen social security number, and then give it to an illegal alien invader. Ding. Now you've created a system, you've tweaked a system, and Manchurian candidate style flipped it. So any vulnerability that could result in fraud needs to be removed for that exact reason. Can you prove it? I don't know. But like I said before, my catchphrase, my lack of evidence doesn't make me wrong. My lack of evidence doesn't make me wrong. If it can be exploited, then it needs to be cleaned up. Period. End of story. David says another week, hopefully something happens. Yeah, I think Tulsi, that might have been clicking the very first domino. Perhaps. Deb says, I think the worst if the elites should be alligator food. I mean, maybe the phrase elite, if we turned it into the treasonous enemy perpetrators should face capital punishment for treason. I think if we switched it up a little bit, and I would agree that treasonous actors should face capital punishment for treason. And then maybe you're suggesting if found guilty of treason and dispatched with per the code of what happens if you're committing treason, maybe use them as alligator food. Interesting thought. I mean, the body would have to go somewhere, right? I don't know. Would that be a little too morbid, or should you kind of remind people why you shouldn't try to overthrow your country so it doesn't happen the next time? I don't know. I mean, do you think there's a good question of the day? The Nimbus tip jar is all kibble. Oh, Patriot Warrior saying shared on X. Thank you for if you guys would all send out like the link to the show and go, hey, we're all in the chat room unpacking the news together. Join us on the show. Like, it all helps. Magnify the message out a couple of times if you would. That's a good idea. Hello, Nick Adams show. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick. Guess what? Dr. Nick. Hi, Dr. Nick. All right. But there's a good question of the day. Two-parter. Number one. I'll do 1A and 1B. Question of the day, 1A, 1B. So type your answer, 1A, 1B. Question 1A. Do you believe that we have enough evidence to prove massive, rampant treason across all spectrums? I mean, I'm expanding this to, like, it feels very obvious to some that the case has been made. It's right there for anyone to run with. And then 1B, if the case has been made, are you looking to see some sort of grand bargain, deal or arrangement? Or do you want to see the most forceful defense of a nation that you could ever imagine to really make an example out of these people? 1 year before the 250th birthday party, and America gets to reestablish ourselves as the most dominant, badass country that's ever been on this earth since Mew or Lemuria or Atlantis, maybe. 1A, agree on treason against Trump. The evidence is there. Patriot Warrior Texas, question of the day. 1A, yes. And he says hang him high. I mean, treason is the attempted overthrow, the coup to keep Trump out, to destroy Trump's term and impeach him, to frame him, to charge him, to jail him, to Epstein him. Oh, yeah, to Butler him. I mean, come on. They are pulling capital offenses. Of course, you need to meet that equally. Deb says 1B, make them an example. Look, some people say refurbishing Alcatraz is a fool's errand, a costly endeavor. Doesn't make sense. And then you go, isn't that the best place to put Fauci and Obama and Clinton, Clapper, Brennan, Schiff, Kinzinger, Cheney? I mean, let's go down the list. Let's go down the list. You want to know who's on that list? That's the list we want. I mean, but it is a lot of the same list. A lot of overlap on that list. So yeah, make an example out of these guys. All right. We got a million stories to get through, so let's start buzzing through them on Instagram. This one is a snarky take on what's going on. It's a little too long. I'll just give you a second of it. Get the gist of it.
See, they gave us the Epstein file, phase 2. I mean, you didn't think the federal government would come out with a binder that says phase 1 if there wasn't a phase 2, because if you did something like that, people would question your judgment. I haven't opened this yet. I'm going to do it with you guys. That way we see it.
Real Matt the Welder. So anyway, it's very snarky and it's very dismissive and it's very frustrated that where's the phase 2? It's 8 minutes long, so I'm not going to play you the whole thing, but check it out. It's on our Instagram feed. I'll give it
together for the first time. Either two things have happened here. Number one, Pam Bondi is incompetent and she came out with the Epstein files phase 1 and she didn't have a phase 2.
So do you think that's what happened with Bondi? She had a phase 1, but there was no phase 2? Or she was told the boxes are on the way, they're going to put them on your desk. We're going to look through everything we have. And they're like, what do you mean this is what I have? That's all they gave us? There's a lot of unanswered questions here. And the simultaneous things can be true at once. And what they were given could have been made up by Clapper, Brennan, Obama, Comey, Clinton, the same people that framed Trump. Like, all right, well, we'll set this back for you. Like, if you ever try to expose us, guess what? We're going to turn around and make it sound like you're the guy. Well, you are on camera with the guy. We do have a video of you laughing with him. Right? Right? I think we might need more evidence than that.
Or somebody very influential, very wealthy, maybe a lobbyist, came to her and said, Pam, you're not going to release those files. Where would we find somebody that's so wealthy with that much influence?
And the video breaks that down in 8 minutes. All right. Let's talk about this.
911, the signs is your emergency.
911.
We have a male drowning in the back of the property right now. We have our rescue swimmers. They're attempting to go out there right now.
Male drowning, rescue swimmers attempting to go out there right now. Dom Luker, breaker of narratives, says in 5 days it will have been a year since Obama chef Tafari Campbell tragically drowned in the Obama estate pond that was 3 feet to 4.3 feet deep for 2 miles, despite being 6 feet tall himself. It's worth noting. Exclusive, I was banned on X 6 hours after I was the first person to release those details about the pond he drowned in. To this day, X never verified why I was banned, yet claimed it appeared to be related to C-spam. I don't know what that means. I still believe this was because of what I found out about that pond. It drove all attention away from my story and made everyone focus on the ban. I feel enough time has passed to where I am safe enough to reveal this. Also, I'm not suicidal. The Obama chef.
What's your phone number that you called in on?
Can you imagine what this Obama chef...
What's the best access?
What they need.
Swimmer and an agent driving down there right now to get on the boat. Someone came running up to our back post saying that a gentleman, it's just a guest of the house, is out there drowning. So right now, our rescue swimmer's going out there.
And you said you guys have boat access, so what do you guys need? Do you need an ambulance, or do you need water rescue as well?
They didn't advise right now. I would say at least an ambulance, and I don't know if what they're doing in the back of the property right now. I know we have our rescue swimmer who's getting the boat right now. I would say at least an ambulance. I don't know what the time is.
All right, I'll send the ambulance over, and I'll contact the fire chief and see where he wants to go, the duty chief, and see if he wants to drop the boat in there. 911, the site.
Seems super sus. Actually, I'm going to type that. Super sus button. You've heard about the Clinton body count. What's the Obama body count? All right, Tulsi Gabbard laying it all out for us. DNI Gabbard releasing more files next week. So this week, expect more files because this goes everywhere. The tentacles of this, please don't miss this for a small story. It's all connected. All the major players have sold their soul on this. And it's all obvious to anyone who just chooses to look.
I understand that there is more, perhaps, that you are going to come out with next week. And I was told that that's why they raided Mar-a-Lago, that they wanted to find the Trump-Russia documents that...
Yeah, they were trying to take back the evidence that he was going to use against them. So they've known Trump's coming back, which is why they tried to throw him in jail. That's why they tried to blow him up multiple times. They failed. Deb saying Project Veritas got Bondi on tape saying they already had thousands of hours of it. Yeah, they were like at a restaurant. It was some low-level staffer got her to say, "Oh yeah, we have all these files." Well, are they? I mean, were they ever handed to Bondi? Were they faked? Just like they faked an insurrection. Oh yeah, that's an insurrection. Was it now? Can we run a real J6 investigation on what went down that day? The pipe bombs and Ray Epps and the magnetic doors and Pelosi and Bowser and turning down the National Guard. Can we please have a real investigation into that? But yeah, Bondi on tape was saying, yeah, we got all these files. So did they destroy them? Did they alter them? Did they put some AI Trump stuff in there to go, well, if you release this, you're a part of it, pal. We got you. See, we framed you. You're all set. And you're like, eh? So let's see all the thousands of hours of tapes. Cash is like, we're not going to show those tapes and re-victimize those women. Also, there are no tapes. You can't do both, man. So the messaging on this has been a mess. But maybe it's because they were promised things that weren't delivered. They promised things that were delivered. And when they got to them, they went, what is this? Virginia Giuffre gets Swissed. She gets offed in the process. Somebody that could have said, no, none of that's real. No, I can't attest. No, I didn't say any of that. Can't say anything now. And dead men tell no tales. So, you know, whether it's Obama chef or Virginia Giuffre, you just kind of wonder sometimes. But yeah, Bondi said there was all sorts of, it was a general understanding. So I think when we say, give us the list, I think what we need to do is reframe it a little bit, lay out the case, tell me who Epstein is, what info we have, explain the visitations, explain the money, and explain the accusations, explain it away. And if there've been private deals worked out with the accusers and they don't want to reopen the case and they've been paid a restitution as part of a plea deal and mutual parties have agreed to move on and they just sort of worked it out of court. Tell us. We need some sort of resolution to this. So the lack of resolution is not a good feeling. Not good at all. And that's what we're trying to get our hands on. They thought they were going to get more info and they weren't given it. They were given info, but it was doctored and all of their people were taken out and all of the Republicans were framed, where if they're called upon to release it, all it would do would knock down 95% Republicans, independents, constitutionalists, libertarians, and then the deep state would go, ha, 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 ha. They wanted the files. They got the files. We cooked them. Look, it all says it's them, as a way to protect themselves so they could never be exposed. We don't know what we don't know. And every question is a fair question at this point. But all of this with Gabbard, all of these stories are connected. The past 5, 10, 15 years, 16, 17 years since Obama's been on the scene, they have been acting as though they would never have to face ramifications, repercussions of their treasonous actions. And they've gotten more brazen, more abusive, and more in need of justice. You don't, there are some things you can't just pardon away. You don't just cut a deal and shake hands and walk away. There are some things that deserve punishment. And the way that our country's been overthrown, the way that lives have been ruined, no, we can never allow this to happen again in America. Deb says TDS goes both ways, Trump haters and Trump zombies who will never hold him accountable.
There was absolutely no collusion and that there was.
So to reset this video clip, Tulsi Gabbard, they're summarizing it here. There was no collusion. When Trump took office, it was always about, oh, well, the deep state's trying to push a Ukrainian war with Russia, so let's pin the tail on Russia. Two for one. Russia colluded to put Trump in office. Trump didn't really win, and they destroyed his candidacy. They framed him for a coup that never happened. Hence, staging a coup to overthrow President Trump, the duly elected president of the United States of America. You're damn right the Democrats need to be punished for that. The deep state need to be punished for that. That is pure treason. And that's what we're finally putting together and laying out there in a case.
No evidence to even start such an investigation, but Trump didn't have it there in Mar-a-Lago, but that's why they raided his house in.
The raid was to get back all the incriminating evidence that he had on them. He didn't use it yet. They kept going, well, why isn't he? When is he going to use it? Is he going to call in the National Guard? Is he going to stay in office? Like, that's kind of, it feels like that's what they want, at least what they expected. And then they had a plan if that were the case. But that's not what he did. He walked away, and then he just kind of let them do their thing, and they panicked. They're like, oh, shit, he's got us. But why did he walk away? So there was some initial panic, it felt like. But then that gave way to like, oh, well, this is our one chance. We got COVID here, whether we released it intentionally, which I do believe is at least possible, plausible, if not likely, or damn near certain. I don't know, but I'd say it's at least plausible. Regardless, they took advantage of it, and they said, this is our one shot to rebuild. We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. I told Michelle the other day, if we could just get rid of all of these, pesky little constitutional okey doke, and then I could usher in true Marxism, Leninism, Stalinism, one of the isms, communism, socialism. It's a blend of all the worst, the ones that never work, but it is the ones that punish the hardworking and successful people, primarily, but not me. No, I buy extra properties on Martha's Vineyard and Hawaii and other coastal areas that I complain. It's funny. For years, I told Michelle the other day, I've been pushing this green climate scam. Climate goes up, goes down. That's climate. But, what I told him was, we're going to flood. It's that old Al Gore thing, the guy who created the internet. Ice caps, they're going to melt. 98% of the experts say. The experts all agree. You keep saying shit like that, right? But then you scare them from owning on the water. So then you can come in with $15 million off your latest book deal, which is really just money laundering, to buy up Martha's Vineyard, buy up Hawaii. And the parts you can't buy up, you burn them up. And then you seize them. Like Governor Newsom. Governor Gavin Newsom. That's what he's doing in the Palisades. So, it's been all part of a grand conspiracy. And, I just pray for the cover that I receive from the lying legacy media and the likes of Stephen Colbert to continue having our back while we steal America and run it into the ground. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. CBS did what? To Colbert, the rapport guy. Okay. Well, shit. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm going to break Obama character. I enjoy talking like Obama. I want to talk like Obama all day. I should do a separate show that's just Obama. And I think maybe I will do that. I think I'm also going to do a MAGA minute with Bobby Kennedy and just deliver the week's updates in health and human services so that we can all get on the same page and get rid of those petroleum-based food dyes. But this is all connected. All of this stuff is connected. Obama, Clinton, deep state, anti-Trump, anti-American treason.
2022, is that correct?
The claim is that they raided Mar-a-Lago. They raided our president. Because why? Well, because the deep state knew that they were toast. The deep state knew that Trump had everything, and they tried to get it back, but it wasn't there.
I don't have the details on the specifics of the Mar-a-Lago raid itself. Those are within the possession of the FBI. But there's no question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published, which contained a manufactured intelligence document. It's worse than even politicization of intelligence. It was manufactured intelligence that sought to achieve President Obama and his team's objective, which was undermining President Trump's presidency and subverting the will of the American people. So
that's a coup. You've overthrown the sitting president of the United States. That's a coup.
Yes. Next week, we will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people, hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it. And that's really the point here that I think is most important, Maria, and you said it in your opening. Accountability is essential for the future of our country, for the American people to have any sense of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic. Accountability, action, prosecution, indictments for those who are responsible for trying to steal our democracy is essential for us to make sure that this never happens to our country again.
And I understand that there is more, perhaps, that you are going to come out with.
You have to stop this from ever happening again. Hands down. All right. Did you see this story over the weekend? This is awful. An ambush attack.
Released surveillance video shows the chaos that went down. In the video, you see two men roll up on what looks like a moped. The man in the white shirt, take a look on the screen. You'll see he gets off and approaches what appears to be the victim. I'm going to follow this video in real time. And that victim is sitting on the rocks next to the water. The video then shows the man in the white shirt tossing the victim to the side. Then it looks like the victim is able to get up on the rocks. And that's when we can see what appears to be an exchange of gunfire take place. You can see that right there on your screen. After what appears to be those shots fired, the two men on the moped then drive away. Late last night, officers responded to the scene, which all of it unfolded at Fort Washington Park. That's where they found the off-duty Border Patrol agent shot in the face and arm. He was taken to the hospital and thankfully is expected to recover. I'm told after the attempted robbery, the illegal migrant suspect showed up to the hospital with injuries. So the NYPD is the lead on this investigation. And John, we are expecting more updates to come this afternoon from New York. New York City Mayor Eric Adams and investigators following this very disturbing story. This newly...
Yep. I'm going to put Democrats imported this crime button. And I don't think I played you this last week. I intended to, but I never got to. I want to circle back to it. Joy Reid. Here's the Officer Tatum breaking down this interview with Piers Morgan. It was good.
Oh my goodness, this is the best day of my life.
Do you know how many people Barack Obama deported in 8 years?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Well, why don't you guess?
I don't know and don't care.
Well, hang on. You don't know and you don't care. You
don't care.
You've just given me...
Because it's not the issue.
You're
trying to make the issue the southern border.
Joy. You've just given me... Joy.
Joy. The point is...
Joy.
Barack Obama was not dragging women...
Joy. Let me finish. You just...
nursing babies apart and taking...
Joy. I'm trying to finish my sentence. You've just given me a lengthy monologue attacking Donald Trump's aggressive deportation policy. And I've simply said to you, there was a Democrat, a black Democrat, president of the United States for 8 years. How many people did he deport in 8 years?
2 million.
Right, it was 3 million.
They try to change the argument. It's not the deportations, it's how they are deported. If he deported more people than any president in history, all of them weren't sweet. They had the camp that you seen in kids in cages and stuff under Barack Obama.
Yeah, the kids in cages. Yeah, that's called a detention center. And unaccompanied minors is a massive child trafficking red flag. Stop. Everything stop. Let all that pile up in Mexico and tell Mexico, stop. What are you doing? Stop them. Deploy your people. What is happening? Why are hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied minors? Unaccompanied minors? Why are you child trafficking? For what purpose could this be a good thing? Mexico, stop everything. Keep it on your side. The border's closed. Stop. That's the first thing you do. You hold on a second. So I was thinking about these numbers. The numbers of deportations before also included 40 million sneaking in. So however many were deported, 40 million got in. Oh no, you see, the numbers are 20. Yeah, those are the numbers you think you can identify. You don't know what you don't know. So double it. Just like when you're doing a construction project, dealing with contractors, 30% more budget, 30% more time right off the bat. And that's with nothing unexpected. You bake in a little bit but that's like your standard budget overrun. You don't want to go so far over budget that you end up like Gavin Newsom with his bullet train to nowhere. By the way, the bullet train should have been Los Angeles to Las Vegas. What, we're trying to send it to Modesto? What the hell's a Modesto? For what purpose? It never made sense, the bullet train to nowhere. Anyway, I digress. But deporting a whole bunch of people while letting 40 million in, it's a false number. It's a weird, because if you deport 1,000 but you let 2,000 in, like, no, look how many people he deported. He deported all of these people. No, he let 1,000 people in net. That's a net failure. So now the deportations, the border's closed. You're actually checking IDs at the gates now. You've sealed up the weaknesses. You've deployed the resources necessary to stop, or at least get a much better grasp of it. So you're comparing numbers while the boat is flooding. You're grabbing a bucket. Well, fine. For every one bucket you dump out, 2 buckets worth is going into the hull of the boat and taking you down. Are you comparing illegal alien invaders to water? I can't with you people. Anyway, but Joy Reid, she wants to freak out because people are being deported, but then ignore how many people Obama was deporting. And then it's not that he's doing it, it's how he's doing it. Look, as a public service announcement, we say this every episode. There's a CBP home app. If you're in the United States illegally, and you either know you are here legally or you don't know. If you don't, you raise your hand and you go on the app and you sort it out. And you might have to go home. But then you've identified yourself as being in the country without documentation illegally. And you start the process. You begin the process. You don't want to get caught up in a raid. Like, the cleanup effort is the Democrats caused this. The deep state, this was their plan, that the people of America are cleaning up now. The people of America didn't want this, didn't vote for this, didn't ask for this. But Joy Reid, man.
Literally saying that they're deporting men, women, and children who are innocent and all that stuff, and Barack Obama did just as much or more. He returned people right at the border and told them to turn around and go home. So they didn't have to go into the interior of the country and do anything, because when Biden was offered, they let them all in. So Trump now have to go get them and take them instead of doing it at the border. If you think deportation is wrong and all this sort of stuff, then you should think the same thing about what Barack Obama did, but they don't, because they're evil and they suck.
Because they're evil and they suck. Which one's worse? Well, for me, it was the hypocrisy.
Well, the hardest part about
So look, I think when they say release the list, I think what I need to hear is release the case. Tell us where we're at. What was it all about? Either it was a whole bunch of things or it wasn't. So tell us what the case of Epstein was. Well, CIA, international banks, Epstein. This is cowboy logic here on Real America's Voice.
all of this is I've been covering it and following it. My parents live in Palm Beach, so I knew all about Epstein back in the first case. Not to mention, I knew a couple of the girls that were caught up in what had happened back in 2007. And frankly, this is much bigger than people think, not just because of the intelligence agencies, but because of the proximity of Jeffrey Epstein to the international, what I call the international banking cartel, and what really I believe runs the world, which is a group of, I believe, people that meet at these conferences all over. Don't forget, Jeffrey Epstein was a member of the Trilateral Commission, the Council of Foreign Relations, the Rockefeller Institute. He was not a small player on the global stage. Not to mention, he was already involved in weapons and arms trafficking all the way back in Iran-Contra. He had a relationship with Khashoggi, and Prince Andrew was the main weapons person from the UK, and they were very close, of course. Then we also had the relationship with Les Wexner, who took over, if you remember, Air America and Barry Seal out of Mena, Arkansas. That Air America basically moved to where Les Wexner was in Ohio, and Jeffrey Epstein was involved in that too. I actually was in New York City working at in the television world, but fashion television, and I'll tell you right now that this was going on in the 90s in New York with Jeffrey Epstein. He had model apartments in the city in the late 90s, mid 90s, that there would be 6, 7, 8 models living in these apartments in Manhattan, and he was paying for that. So, we're talking about decades upon decades, and the hard part for me is that there has to be financial transactions, because JP Morgan Chase settled with the victims for $365 million. Well, if that's the case, don't they know that where the transactions went? And also 20 different people at JP Morgan Chase over several decades had dealt with Jeffrey Epstein. There's also other banks that had dealt with Jeffrey Epstein and had to pay the victims. So there is definitely a white collar financial trail that is being avoided and ignored, all the way up to, it was even brought up during Diddy's trial, which many people think Diddy, Epstein, and Maxwell obviously are all in some way involved in intelligence or confidential human sources, or actually involved in, being involved in stings or whatever. It's odd that all three of them were also tried by James Comey's daughter.
Yeah. James Comey's daughter got him as well. Yeah, he's been an intelligence asset since Reagan's Iran-Contra. Did you catch that? How much of this was simple prostitution? You find willing people. How much of this was held against your will? Slavery. Lay out the case. What is the Epstein story? AOC goes and cries about kids in cages in a photo op. Are there literal kids in cages on Epstein Island? What type of torturous stuff is occurring? Like, we're adults. We can handle it, but there are no files. They don't want you to know. And so in the absence of information, speculation runs rampant. It's one of my catchphrases that I go back to all the time. In the absence of information, speculation runs rampant. People that went there, it was for connections. Someone else I was listening to was laying it out that, you get a former president there, and it's, well, you invite people to the parties, and maybe you have friendly girls around, maybe working girls that are more than happy to oblige and more than happy to let you make them filthy rich, and they just bang a couple wealthy, famous people, and they keep it on the DL, and they live in paradise and have no bills, and they're making tons of money, buying fancy clothes and cars, and everybody's happy. Or you have a 7-year-old girl from Nicaragua chained to the wall of a dungeon. What is the story here? We're conflating Italian circle triangle food with wiener laptops and Podesta emails and How much of that is the Epstein story? Maybe some of it, maybe all of it, maybe it's all scrambled together. Deshaun Watson, the quarterback of the Houston Texans, was he abusing women randomly? No, he was bringing masseuses over to give him a massage, and he would roll over and take the towel off and tell them that he wanted a happy ending. And maybe a lot of the Instagram models or the Instagram masseuses that were signing up for this, they knew damn well what they were doing. Give him a massage, give him a, rub and tug. Take it to completion, call it a day. Take my $500 off the counter. I'm going to leave. Job done. And then maybe he did that to just a regular masseuse that was horrified. It's like, no, bro, I ain't no hoe. I'm not here for that. But then it was like, how many women? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. They came out of the woodwork accusing. Well, how much can you prove? I don't know. Prove they weren't abused. Oh, there's definitely a mess with that, with the Epstein case. Prove that all these girls that claim that they were something, prove they weren't. They can just throw a name out there. The story was Virginia Guffrey said, oh yeah, Dershowitz, one of people who was formerly Epstein. So yep, he was one of my abusers. And then he went through the court process to defend himself and she lost. I think that's the story there. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there's a lot of discredited allegations. How do you protect innocent people who may have had an ancillary connection? Oh yeah, President Clinton went down there once. There was a photograph. Somebody saw him. Okay. Well, now they're going to get accused by everybody of everything that you could imagine. And how do you prove your innocence at this point? How do you prove guilt? Well, the tapes. What tapes? There are no tapes. No, we know there were tapes. We saw the boxes of tapes. No, there are no tapes. Well, actually, there might not be any tapes now. Or the tapes that there are now have been, like I said, separated. All the Democrat stuff has been destroyed, and anything that would hurt a Republican donor, a Republican financier, a Republican leaning this, that, it would just nuke the entire right wing. And you say, well, if they're child abusers, they need to be nuked. Well, once again, there's layers to this, and I'm asking, is this more like the laptop from hell or the other laptop from super hell? Or is it more like, you get to it, you're in Vegas at a strip club and it's legal. I don't know. I'm conflating things because I don't know. But there's a lot of questions and we don't have the Epstein answer. And that is one of the, Deb says it's much darker than just trafficking. And that's kind of why we're all here. We know that. But to what degree? We really have to have this laid out. We have to see it laid out for us. Epstein, who financed him? Where did his money go? Who were Epstein's business connections? I mean, Epstein was trying to make connections with every person on earth because it's all about selling access and making connections. 100%. 100%. Whoop. Volume.
If we don't bring this down now, we've got less than 2 minutes in the segment. If we don't bring this down now, they're just going to come back with a vengeance in 2026 and 2028. I mean, this needs to stop.
Yeah, I mean, there is roots to do this. The question is, why isn't it happening? And then that is where we are stuck right now because there is no excuse for us. And there's plenty of evidence. Do not believe that evidence is destroyed. There were many lawsuits, many names already out there, 1 through 99, John Doe's, Jane Doe's, in all of these lawsuits over years. The names are out there. There's just somebody protecting, I believe, the International Financial Center. That's where I think this leads to is the top.
All right. Who is that puppet master? Because we know it's not Bondi. We know that.
No. I don't think that we're really allowed to go there at this point, but I do believe that it is somebody that is very close to Donald Trump and making a lot of choices and does not think that this is important, and somebody who's been working with lobbyists for many years and with international bankers and international multinational corporations. These are the people that are in danger. It's the global public-private partnership that runs the world, and Jeffrey Epstein was right in the middle of it. So if you're going to look at that, you have to look at maybe
Americans Anonymous, Mel K.
be higher than that, like the BlackRocks, the Vanguards, the Goldman Sachs.
And that's both sides. So we got less than 30 seconds here, but that's both sides of the aisle. And if Donald Trump were there, the left would have brought that out in the last campaign. So that's the one thing.
It certainly feels that way.
Well,
but I don't know. I don't think that argument's perfect just to say if they had stuff on Trump, they would have used it. But then again, they tried to blow him up in Butler. So they tried to throw him in jail and Epstein him anyway. Of course they would have used it if they had something. Is it possible that they destroyed what would have destroyed them? They tried to protect their own and they set up the entire other side. By the time they were done, whatever they looked at might look like it was a completely 100% Republican-led effort, and that no mention of Bill Clinton going there. Was it 8 times, 12 times, 14 times, 16 times? I forget. There's so many bits and pieces of information on Epstein that we're trying to cobble together to form a cohesive story. What is the full story? Tell us the full story. We're not getting the full story. They're scared to tell us the full story. They can't tell us the full story, which is kind of weird. All right. MRC-TV says CBS's Scott MacFarlane claims that he has a condition because of Trump's what? Hang on. Just let's listen to this.
Of us there. It was such
in Butler
a horror because you saw an emerging America. And it wasn't the shooting, Chuck. I got diagnosed with PTSD within 48 hours. I got put on trauma leave. Not because I think of the shooting, but because you saw it in the eyes, the reaction of the people. They were coming for us. If he didn't jump up with his fist, they were going to come kill us.
I know.
For those of us there.
Oh, you mean the liars in the legacy media who have been pushing these fake Trump collusion? Trump's a Putin puppet. Trump's a traitor. Oh, you mean you push that and then someone actually takes a shot at him? Oh, you think people might actually hold you accountable for the lies that you've been perpetrating on the American people, knowingly and intentionally? Now, I guess maybe not all of the foot soldiers have the knowingly and intentionally part down. I guess they might be able to claim some sort of plausible deniability. Some of them. But, oh no, people might actually hold me accountable.
It was such a horror because you saw an emerging America. And it wasn't the shooting, Chuck. I got diagnosed with PTSD within 48 hours. I got put on trauma leave. Not because I think of the shooting, but because you saw it in the eyes, the reaction of the people. They were coming for us. If he didn't jump up with his fist, they were going to come kill us.
I know.
For those of us there.
All right.
It was
I wanted to hear one more. I wanted to hear.
For those of us there.
Got it.
Craziest thing about Epstein.
More Epstein.
That I learned recently is that, did you know that Bill...
Who is this? Jesse Michaels official.
Bill Gates, his science advisor, is the backup executor to Epstein's will.
Doesn't shock me.
I don't know if that's true, and that's almost too complicated to type in to check.
Didn't know that, but it doesn't shock me.
How crazy is that? And he found out, and then he goes, I was shocked to find out that I was listed.
Whoa.
Where did he come from?
But remember Bill Gates, where he's like, well, he's dead now, so, nothing more to say about that.
That's right, that interview, yeah.
Well, he's dead, so.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so, in general, you always have to be careful.
Craziest thing about Epstein.
Okay, hold on. I looked this up. It says according to Grok, Jeffrey Epstein named Boris Nikolic, a former science advisor to Bill Gates, as the backup executor of his will, signed 2 days before his death in August of 2019. 2 days before, he named Boris. Nikolic, a biotech venture capitalist, was reportedly shocked by the designation and declined to serve, stating that he was not consulted and had no intent to fulfill the role. Nikolic's connection to Gates came through his role as a scientific advisor to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and he later co-founded Biomatics Capital, where Gates is an investor. Some posts on X speculate the significance of the connection, suggesting it it was a deliberate act by Epstein to implicate or retaliate against Gates. However, these claims are largely speculative and lack conclusive evidence. Nikolic himself stated he had limited contact with Epstein in the years prior to his death and regretted their association. No definitive evidence ties Gates directly to Epstein's estate management or suggests that Gates influenced Nikolic's inclusion in the will. Okay, so there's some interesting backstory there. Oh, where's Cock? Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. History. I'm going to post this in the comments so that other people can see context. There we go. Put context in. They needed context. Okay, good. Well, we learned about that today. All right, breaking. According to the Real State of America, President Trump's Department of Justice is now... Hold on. There we go. Now you can read it. President Trump's Department of Justice is now asking for Pennsylvania, Alaska, Arizona, Colorado, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, New York, and Wisconsin to hand over all election information, including complete voter rolls, data on moved or inactive voters, and details on how rolls are maintained. I'm going to type, "This is the way" button. I suggest this stuff is all rigged by the big blue cities, who are then seizing the big blue states and then seizing political power. I don't think the people would ever vote for something as ridiculous as what these Democrats have turned into. Why is this not working? I've clicked it 5 times. What is happening? Hang on, let me turn this off. Turn this back on and try again. All right, that worked. Weird. Jack Posobiec says, why didn't the CIA director Mike Pompeo tell President Trump in January of 2017 that Obama had ordered the PDB, Presidential Daily Briefing, to be rewritten on Russia? Pompeo had access just weeks after this all took place. Pompeo could have handed this all to Trump. Why didn't Pompeo tell Trump what happened? So let's see. Pompeo was in on it button. He was a part of the problem. Him and Mike Pence, Pompeo and Barr, along with Pence, were enemies within. Pompeo and Barr should be indicted for seditious conspiracy and treason. Pompeo and Barr conspired to the coup. These are the comments I'm reading. Let's not forget John McCain. Huh. Go side by side here. There we go. Rasmussen Report says, good morning. Don't forget, Durham reports show Biden and Obama knew the truth of the Trump collusion hoax, but kept silent. Yeah, the comments. We already knew this. Yeah, they had Hunter Biden's laptop that proved it. It's all connected. Obama, Russian hoax, Epstein, 2014, Ukrainian coup, orchestrated by Obama, Haiti, the Clinton Foundation, child trafficking, outside of what Epstein did. All of it is connected, says the comments. Feels like treason to me. Matt Taibbi concurs. He says, the new documents released by Tulsi Gabbard leave no doubt, none, that the Barack Obama White House invented a phony espionage scandal to hang on the incoming Trump administration. The sole question is, why? What idiot thought this would work? That it was a good idea? Scott Adams says, you can sell any crazy plan or idea if you control the media. And they controlled the media when they unveiled the plan. A phony espionage scandal to hang on Trump, to spy on all of them, to overthrow him, to steal America in a coup. What idiot thought this would work, that it was a good idea? It was Obama. He thought he could get away with anything. He thought he was super popular. He thought, I'm on the right side of things here. The means, the ends justify the means. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He did this to himself. Deb mentioning the Bill Gates body language analysis was very revealing. Oh, during that recent interview where he was like by the side of a creek or something, he was outside doing some softball a year ago. I think I remember that. Yeah, Gates is up to some weirdness. Joey Manarino says a Democrat nominee for mayor of Minneapolis is a Somalian communist with zero legislative accomplishments in government. The Democrat nominee for mayor of New York City is a Hamas-praising Ugandan communist who hates Jewish people with a burning passion and has zero accomplishments in government. He's never even held a job prior to being some kind of assemblyman. The Democrat Party has one goal and one goal only: make America the third world. What do you make of that? What do you make of the fact that it seems like the Democrat Party is nothing more than the Overthrow America domestic trader group? They're not a legitimate second American political party. They have about a 19% approval rating. The number 19% approval rating for the Democrats is fairly consistent, lower than the Scott Adams number of 25% that seem to be wrong about every single issue, regardless of issue. And it's not the same 25 people that are wrong about everything. About 25% of people respond to everything incorrectly. Democrats only have about a 19% approval rating. And nobody likes them because they're not American. They're not an American party. They seem to be a communist takeover to overthrow the United States, to subvert the Bill of Rights, the constitutionally protected liberties of the residents of this nation, to flood this nation with illegal entry, non-citizens, to replace the sovereign citizens with non-citizens who will then vote against their own interest. Oh, they can't vote. Like I said, you get on one roll, you get in one system, and then you attach a stolen social security number, you put them together, and you get a ballot. Oh, guess what? The big cities get a few thousand of these. They drop box them, they roll them in, they count them a few different times. Oh, you got to run that batch 15 times, allegedly. There's 100 ways to cheat. And then bam, America's gone. Then what does it even turn into? A mix of, what they say here, Somalia and Uganda. Why are non-Americans serving in these positions? The people serving should have a vested interest in this place. You should, if it's a requirement for the president, it should be a requirement for the mayor of New York City. It should be a requirement for Congress. Actually, I'll type that. If being a U.S.-born citizen for POTUS, shouldn't this extend to Congress and mayoral positions as well? I think so. I think it should extend. New York Post reporting, here's a monster illegal alien invader who's been accused of decapitating a woman. He's been nabbed by ICE. ICE got him after a judge set him free 3 months ago. Dude decapitated a woman and was released in under 48 hours. Am I reading this right? Mendova Gonzalez was first arrested in April here in New York, there in New York, after police discovered the 37-year-old victim's headless body stuffed inside a bleach-soaked storage bin in the yard of his Waukegan home. He allegedly told police the woman, who was reported missing in March after vanishing in February, had OD'd at his home, and instead of calling authorities, broke her phone, hid her body in the basement for 2 days, then later moved it outside, the outlet reported. But police said the corpse had been rotting in his yard for nearly 2 months before it was found. Mendoza Gonzalez was locked up, but released about 48 hours later. People, This is what the Democrats are giving you. This is what the Democrat cities give you. And in Los Angeles, there was one particular person rampaging through the neighborhood. Rampaging, setting things on fire, stealing things not broken down, assault, property damage, vandalism, graffiti, drug dealing, pit bulls attacking things off the leashes, fights in the street, gunfight, all sorts of problems. And all linked to this one shady dude. Well, overlap, the Venn diagram. Everywhere this guy went was just a tornado. It was like the Tasmanian devil on the cartoons. Wherever he left sorrow in his wake. And he would get arrested and re-released. He finally attacked a police officer with a hammer. And you go, oh, thank God they're finally going to keep this guy. They released him that night. They will not protect the citizens of the community from decapitating monsters and repeat offenders. They just keep victimizing the same neighborhoods. These cities are not protecting the residents. This is the Democrat plan. Mendoza Gonzalez was locked up but released about 48 hours later under the state's controversial Safe T Act, which abolished cash bail. Oh, yeah. Yeah, why would you want to hold on to a decapitating dude? An illegal alien who's holding on to decapitated bodies at his house? Yeah, just let that guy go. Let him float around. Let's see what other shenanigans that little rascal will get into. Oh, shucks. What a rambunctious little rapscallion. That illegal alien rapscallion. I doubt you're going to have more decapitated bodies in your yard, even though you're not even allowed to be here legally because you broke into the country. Just go on. Nothing to go ahead. I'll see you later. So they abolish cash bail. So there's no bail. You can't hold on to people. And this allows judges to determine jail time, no matter how severe the crime is. Antioch Mayor Scott Gartner said at the time, I was shocked to find out literally the next day that the person that they had arrested for this had been released from prison under the Safety Act. Under the Safety Act, detained less, I think, than 48 hours. Okay, sorry, there's a weird quote there. So what type of city do you want to live in? President Trump chimed in on the attack on the ICE agent. Different story here, but it's another attack on an ICE guy. Last night in New York City, an incredible CBP officer was shot in the face by an illegal alien monster freed into the country under Joe Biden. He was apprehended at the border in April of 23, but instead of being deported, instead of kept in Mexico, just dumped into America, go ahead, roam around. Maybe you could come to New York and shoot one of our agents in the face. Nah, not a good plan. Instead of being deported, he was released. CBP officer bravely fought off his attacker despite his wounds, demonstrating enormous skill and courage. The Democrats have flooded our nation with criminal invaders, and now they must all be thrown out, in some cases immediately prosecuted, and that we cannot take a chance that they are able to come back. That's how evil and dangerous they are. Off-duty Border Patrol agent shot in the face during a robbery at New York City Park by suspect ID'd as an illegal migrant with a long rap sheet who was freed after every bust. Long rap sheet, and they keep letting him out. Guess what? He's in the country illegally. Get him the fuck out of here. Put him in jail. Keep him in jail. Serve a sentence. Then you transport him in cuffs to the Mexican authorities in cuffs. Let them determine what to do on their side of the border. What universe thinks it's okay for an illegal alien invader to have a long rap sheet? You get arrested, you get sent out of here. You serve jail time, and then you're sent back. Or you keep them in jail. You have a 2-strike policy. First strike is you return to wherever you came from. Strike 2, you're in prison forever. You come back here a second. There should be a 2-strike rule for illegal alien invaders. I'm okay sending somebody back to where they came from as part of step one. Just makes sense on a lot of different levels. Where is the place? And if you ever sneak in here again, you're in jail for life. There are so many stories of these criminals that have been deported multiple times. You're caught a second time, that's a life sentence. And the other country that let him in should be billed. You work it as part of the trade negotiations. You just send him a bill. It's 41 grand to keep this guy in this location per year. We're going to take it off your tariff bill. It'll be line item over here. Send us the wire transfer or else we're going to hold up whatever. Make the other countries feel a little bit of pain. Canada and Mexico. We shouldn't be letting people sneak into their country from our border either. It should be a partnership to zipper that closed. It's just what you hear people have these long rap sheets. How? They're illegals. They're committing crimes. They're coming into our house and they're pissing on the carpet. No. Yes, I did equate someone shooting a CBP officer in the face to peeing on the carpet. Was that too mean?
That shooting happened just behind my shoulder here at this red lighthouse. This is under the George Washington Bridge. As you mentioned, one person is in custody, that Border Patrol agent.
I'm wondering what that Border Patrol agent was doing, sitting out, like what was happening? I don't understand why he was on that rock and why those two people knew he was there. And like, were they in the middle of an arrangement, were they doing a meetup? Like, what was that about? Was that a Facebook Marketplace deal gone bad?
Is expected to be okay after police sources say he.
And by the way, Patriot Warrior Texas, no strikes. You done did strike one when you broke into our country. Look. I understand that perspective. You won't get a big pushback from me on that. I can understand that. And look, I can understand both sides of the abortion debate. Hands off my body, my choice. Let me determine what type of family I'm going to bring into the world, and let me meet with my maker, if there's a maker, and if abortion's good or bad, and I have to answer for then let me make that case personally. Like, that has to do with between me and a God, if there is one. Or, yeah, you get the right to make your own choice, says the pro-lifer, but that life isn't your life. You only own half of that life. You're a trusted steward. The husband, or the father, rather, is the other half of that equation. You know, if he wants to keep the kid, you can't kill the kid if he wants it. And, you know, all life is sacred, and that life doesn't belong to you. So just birth that child and put him up for adoption if you don't want him. But you shouldn't be killing humans because it's more convenient. I can understand both sides of that perspective. And I've held opinions that are on both sides of those spectrums. I've understood it. It's an issue I understand. I can empathize with it on all angles. So yeah, no strikes. On the other hand, I mean, the Democrats have so convoluted the system and worked with so many NGOs to just say, all right, here's a piece of paper. Just say you're fearful for your life, or that you're escaping persecution, or you're a political refugee, or you're claiming asylum. Just say asylum and they can't send you back. And it's like the whole system has been rigged. The whole system has been screwed over. And there are some people in some of these lousy shithole countries. Like, look at El Salvador before Bukele came in and cleaned it up. Would you want to be there? Well, no, just because they don't want to be there doesn't mean they have a right to be here either. I get that perspective too. You know, if somebody wants to work and wants to raise their hand and run a full criminal background check, and so you can screen out any child abuser or violent person, and you go, yeah, you got too much of a baggage here. We don't want you here. The recidivism rate is through the roof. We definitely zero child abusers, zero. And you'd have to really make a case if you're convicted of something, why we should give you a chance here. But people that want to raise their hand and be like, look, this NGO, they helped get me here, and I didn't come with a cartel, and I don't owe people money, and I don't owe them favors, so I don't have to commit crimes on this other side, and I want to stay out of trouble. I want to contribute. I want to do good. And it's in an area that you need people right now. I want to learn English. I want to defend our Bill of Rights and Constitution. I want to I'd like to join your team. I think we should be open to people that raise their hand and just say, hey, how do we work through this? Is there anything I can do can I stay? Like I'm here. I understand like it's a bit of a mess how I got here, but anyway, just speaking of how I got here, I don't understand the video surveillance. Why was that area being videoed? What is that area exactly?
He was shot in his face and arm inside of this park. Detectives were combing the scene all morning, which is, as I mentioned, literally under the GW Bridge. That shooting happened just before midnight here inside Fort Washington Park. Sources saying they responded to a 911 call from someone inside the park. When they arrived, they found that 42-year-old Border Patrol agent with multiple gunshot wounds. He was rushed to Harlem Hospital and is expected to recover. That Border Patrol agent, by the way, we're told, again, was off duty at the time of that shooting.
Off duty at the time of the shooting, and he was carrying. I mean, there shouldn't be no-go zones for our Bill of Rights. I don't know what needs to pass for nationwide reciprocity, but I got questions about what was going on here. Something about that story seems a little weird. Anyone else get that vibe that something's off on that story? Here's our sock puppet account, Amber. She likes to come in, copy paste a couple things, take a screenshot and send it. She gets paid $20 every time she does it. Allegedly. That's the allegations from a lot of viewers. She says Trump was found liable for abuse by a jury. Yeah. See, that was part of the attempt to frame President Trump. That's what Tulsi Gabbard is unpacking here. Obama, Biden have been framing Trump for 9 years now. That's the grand conspiracy we're talking about. It's called lawfare. They had corrupt district attorneys change statute of limitations just to go after Trump, so that someone who seems to have lifted the entire accusation from a Law and Order episode, lacking proof in a civil court, not a criminal court, was able to slander the name of Trump in an effort to try to keep him from running for president again, to keep him from seizing control again, which is the will of the people, because most of the policies that are coming through right now are what the people of this country want. So, you know, when is that appeal for the $80 million verdict? Let me ask Grok. When is Trump's appeal for the $80 million verdict? Because they've appealed it, and I think he had to pay it. They said defamation. Good grief. September 6th of 24. No specific date provided when the court will issue its ruling on the appeal. And then a $502 million civil fraud case where nobody was defrauded. It's incredible. So these are the things people like Amber will copy and paste. All right, so Real State of America says DNI Gabbard announces that there are whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork from the Obama administration. Good. Drop the hammer button. Imagine how many good people inside the government have been steamrolled by this monstrosity of an administration. I am very much looking forward to these whistleblower reports. Clandestine here gives us some context, says, I already see people trying to make the argument that we cannot go after Obama. Do it that way. Because he was president and he has presidential immunity. That's cute. The precedent has already been established. Everyone is fair game, including former presidents. Quote, no one is above the law. Drop the hammer. Yep, nobody is above the law. No one is above the law. All right, here's the sports story. The reason why I shared this on the Unhappy Hour sports show today. It's the reason why I'm wearing my... You know, and this shirt's interesting. Well, my buddy was just talking to me about it. It's like a hybrid of LeBron James with his early days. He's got the earring and he's got the bandana. and it's Chief Wahoo. It's my favorite team. It's a team I grew up rooting for. I'm a Cleveland native. Indians, Cavs, Browns, and Buckeyes. But they took that insult. The Louis Sock-Alexis story. I've teased it twice. Let me read you President Trump's story here. He says, quote, "My statement on the Washington Redskins has totally blown up, but only in a very positive way. I may put a restriction on them that if they don't change the name back to the original Washington Redskins and get rid of the ridiculous moniker Washington Commanders, I won't make a deal for them to build a stadium in Washington. The team would be much more valuable and the deal would be much more exciting for everyone. Cleveland should do the same with the Cleveland Indians. The owner of the Cleveland baseball team, Matt Dolan, who is very political, has lost 3 elections in a row because of that ridiculous name change. What he doesn't understand that if he had changed the name back to the Cleveland Indians, he might actually win an election. Indians are being treated very unfairly. Make Indians great again. Hashtag MEGA. Hashtag return our chief." I'll put that there in the comments. Actually, though, let me see who owns the Cleveland Indians. Because there's been some shakeup and some stuff moving around with the Cleveland Indians ownership. Primarily owned by the Dolans. Larry Dolan died in February of this year. His son, Paul Dolan, serves as the new chairman and CEO with a controlling stake of 75% through family trusts. The team was purchased by Larry Dolan in 2000 for $323 million. David Blitzer owns a minority stake of 25 to 30% through an investment group with an option to become the controlling owner in 2028. So what is Mark Dolan role in the Cleveland Indians? So it's the family. Oh, I'm sorry. I typed Mark. I meant Matt Dolan. Dolan. Okay, hold on. What am I doing? Typo in my prior response. Okay, Matt Dolan, one of the 6 children of the late Larry Dolan, has no current role in the day-to-day operations of the Cleveland Guardians. He held a position in the front office, overseeing budget and running the team's charity program until 2016. Still holds partial ownership stake in the team through family trust, collectively owned by not involved in management or operational decisions. His brother is the primary owner, chairman, and CEO. Matt has been more active in politics, serving as Ohio State Senator from 17 to 24, running for Senate in 22 and 24, losing the primaries in Republican Party for both times. Appointed CEO of Team NEO, an economic development organization, in February 25. All right, so the whole part with Matt Dolan, he's not really the person that runs the team. But that being said, it is a strange situation. You know, some people object to logos and mascots. The Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Indians, there's historical context. And it was the Cleveland Indians had the first Native American player, Louis Sock-Alexis. I think we had a second Indian player as well when it was the Spiders, and some of the fans in the league and some of the sports writers jokingly, "Oh, the Spiders. Oh, you mean the Cleveland Indians? Yeah, the Indians." So if they started calling the Brooklyn Blacks, right? They got that colored fella, they would say. Well, the weird thing is, the Cleveland Spiders, perhaps piggybacking off of the success of the Boston Braves, I believe later became the Atlanta Braves, Or maybe the Milwaukee Braves. Forgive me, I get a little confused with franchises, but about 100 years ago, naming teams, Blackhawks or Seminoles or Braves or Redskins or Indians was kind of all the rage with team names. And in the woke universe, that's just degrading, that's demeaning, that's demoralizing, that's inhumane. You wouldn't want to be a caricature. Like, look, this isn't meant to look like a person. This is a cartoon. It's a cartoon character. It's a cartoon. And he's the happiest logo in all of sports. You can't look at Chief Wahoo and not smile. And why don't you ask Cleveland Indians fans how they felt the past 4 years that the team has been removed? The Cleveland Indians took on the nicknames that they were hearing and said, you know what, we're going to change our name to the Cleveland Indians. Talked about the hip hop community. There's that certain word that starts that certain letter. Well, you're not supposed to say that. It's like it's a bad thing to say. Well, you know what? We're going to take it and we're going to call each other that. And it'll just mean dude. What's up, dude? Nothing, my dude. Dude, please. It means dude now. Now it's a common sense word. No, but only we can say it, but they can't. No, see, we can put it in music, but you can't sing to it. No, you can pay us money for the music, but you can sing to it, but you can't sing that. Well, no, it's a bad word, but it only means dude. But I can, but you can't. But give me your money. But I'm the one that said it. You're just saying what I just said. But it's like the Papa John thing. He said what other people said, and nope, now he's fired because you can't say what other people said because you're going, what? What are we do? What are we doing? What is all this? You're just playing gymnastics. You're doing jump rope. You're trying to jump rope, and people are throwing things on the floor. You're trying to avoid falling on them. 100 traps. But the Indians were like, yeah, we broke the barrier on Native Americans. We're going to call ourselves the Indians. The Cleveland team used to be called the Cleveland Naps. Napla Joey had his day, turned himself a triple play. We were called the Cleveland Naps after Napla Joey. The Cleveland Browns were named after Paul Brown. The Cleveland Indians. I believe there were 2 Indians on the team. Now, look, I get that the term Indian just kind of stems from, well, they thought they landed in India. So they called the people there Indians. Well, it's technically not correct. It's just a moniker that's held this test of time. Native American tribes, indigenous tribes. Certain terms fall out of favor. Colored is very dated. People don't say that. Now, when Jackie Robinson entered on the Brooklyn Dodgers, people say, oh, look at that colored fellow. They say African American, but you don't know if someone's from Africa just because of skin color. So that doesn't make sense either. Colored. Yeah, I'm a color. I'm not translucent either. There's no great way to talk about lineage and talk about culture and talk about race and talk about melanin, pigment content, and where we hail from, and Oriental. Oh my gosh, that just used to be the common phrase 50 years ago. Now you hear someone say that, you go, oh my goodness, lady, I am offended. It's not meant to be offensive. It's just a term that's fallen out of favor. So in the regard that Indian doesn't literally mean India, I get it. It's fine. I understand. But it's not derogatory. It's not a slur. Well, Redskins. What do you think about Redskins? You're literally just calling somebody something by the color of their skin. Yeah, and look into the people that created the logo, the people that are affiliated with XYZ indigenous tribes, and with that team, they liked the representation. There were 15 people paid by USAID or some goofy protester opening day at Cleveland Stadium for the last 20 years. And you're selling out 42. I think Cleveland Stadium had the largest sellout streak in the 90s into the 2000s. The longest sellout streak in history until that time. The Cleveland Indians had the greatest sellout streak. Loved, supported. But the Indians took that moniker and turned it into something positive. And they've kept it for 100 years. And they were the team that also broke down the black managerial barrier in the American League. Frank Robinson became the first black head coach, manager. in Major League Baseball in the American League. The Indians did that. They're trend-setting. They're progressive trailblazers. They're a good franchise. Oh, guess what? You all know Jackie Robinson, but who was the second person to walk on the moon? Larry Doby. Larry Doby, the first black baseball player in the American League. Cleveland Indians, Larry Doby. So don't paint a picture like Cleveland's backwards and the logo's backwards and the mascot is backwards, the team name is backwards, everything about that franchise. We need to it is so offensive to me, the outraged white liberal from the suburbs. I have to take it upon myself to be outraged over every issue everywhere. I will look under rocks to find, I will yell underneath rocks. How dare you exist as you are? I will look under every rock, trying to find problems everywhere. This stuff was rammed through in the wake of the 2020 Summer of Love riots pushed by the Democrat deep state. Took one isolated event and tried to burn the country down, all in an effort to make it seem like Trump was a bad guy. Republicans are bad people. You got to vote for Joe Biden. See, it's ingrained and America's bad and overthrow America and burn it down if we don't get our way. That's what the deep state Democrats were up to. And in the wake of all that terror, that's domestic terrorism. They saw their opportunity to strike. By the way, who was it? Somebody who's been rumored to be on a list? Rumored. I mean, we don't have any information because Pam Bondi can't seem to find it on her Bermuda Triangle desk over there. Or likely maybe the deep state deleted all of the good stuff. Tom Hanks came out in a video. Tom Hanks, who had lived and worked in Cleveland in his early days, did this whole voiceover thing. It sounded like Stephen Colbert doing a whole voiceover thing for you now. Like, in context, at the time, you're like, but now you're like, ooh, like USAID, or like you're on the list or on some sort of list, or we're going to push our woke propaganda and destroy this Cleveland Indians team. That's what happened. That's what they did in the wake of the Summer of Love 2020 riots, fueled by deep state Democrats. They went and they canceled the Washington Redskins. They canceled the Cleveland Indians. And you know what? As a fan of this team, this logo, this mascot, the history of Frank Robinson, Larry Doby, Louis Sock-Alexis. Luis Sock-Alexis or Louis Sock-Alexis? Oh, no, Louis Sock-Alexis. He wasn't a great player, and he was kind of mocked, and he also had an alcohol problem. They didn't name the team after. Yeah, we were nicknamed the Cleveland Indians. We go, yeah, you know what? We will take that name, Cleveland Indians. We're ready to switch from the Spiders anyway. We're the Spiders now. And then other people say, well, see, it's just about Cleveland baseball. It doesn't matter if you're the Cleveland Naps, named after Napla Joey. See, if you were named the Cleveland Sock-Alexis, see, it doesn't. See, you could have been the Cleveland Sox. Yeah, I don't know. It's not like Paul Brown was named the Whites because Paul Brown was a white or a Caucasian. The Cleveland Caucasians was your football team. They literally named it after his name and not Louis Sock-Alexis. Doesn't really roll off the tongue as well either, but it's not meant to be a pejorative. Nobody roots for something they find to be abhorrent. And this whole thing, the cancel culture, jumped the shark with this. And it has turned off so many people from the Cleveland baseball franchise. So President Trump's bringing it back because is it an important issue? Look, if you bend over and take this and then go to the games and keep buying the merchandise, it's like you allowed yourself to get bullied. You didn't draw a line in the sand and say, what are you doing? I don't like this. People are allowed to say, I don't like this, because it's a greater historical context than just one team name change. It's more than that. It's about society in general and rewriting our daily history, rewriting our national history. And it's about acting so damned offended over every little thing that everyone walks on eggshells, and bad guys and girls are allowed to get away with bloody murder because they're scaring you into silence. You can't work a job. You can't. Go down the list of ways that people are threatened or abused or fired and rendered penniless, hopeless, helpless. That's what the woke mind virus has been about. That's what Obama, Clapper, Brennan, Comey, Clinton, the whole Democrat deep state regime has been up to for 20 years. Comply or die. Quite literally. So Is this an important issue? It is to me. Because I do my sports show, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. I'm very much a part of this conversation, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. But culturally, what are we doing? So even this, if we wanted to try something in the middle that splits the difference, because the name Indians, it might not be in favor because they're technically more indigenous, but they were nomadic. So it's not like they had a home base either. They were at the Bering Land Strait. They were in Eastern Europe. They were everywhere. Central America, South America, they were everywhere. So how are you indigenous to somewhere when you're everywhere? I would even be fine with the Cleveland tribe. Keep our logo. Keep Chief Wahoo. And then just say, yeah, maybe the term Indian is not what it used to be. But what is a tribe? A tribe has Native American context. And you know what? Our tribe in Cleveland welcomed Louis Sockalexis to break the Native American barrier 100 years ago. We think that's cool. And so we'll call ourselves the tribe because we are about our community coming together. That's cool. They would say, oh, you got to get rid of Chief Wahoo. And you go, come on, Wahoo's awesome. Watch the movie Major League. It's just iconic. It's iconic Americana. It's not meant to be a slur. It's not meant to be degrading. We think our Chief Wahoo is awesome. I'd be fine to change our team to the Cleveland Tribe. But my other point is I want the Cleveland Indians back because there hasn't been a championship since 1948. So if you're under 80 years old, you've never witnessed a Cleveland Indians championship. Bring the team name Cleveland Indians back long enough for one championship in the modern era, and then switch it to the Tribe. Keep the Guardians on throwback the team name back day or something. Make it happen. Because when you bow to the woke mob, there is no limit to what they're going to take. You do not give an inch. Javier Milei from Argentina talked about you never give an inch to a shit lib. Never. Because they just keep going and going and going and going. The term progressive is about everything progresses forward to the crazier points of view. But once you've given an inch, now you got to give a mile. So there's a lot of that. And President Trump is jumping into this conversation, which is very interesting to me. AF Post here reporting, Trump he may block the Commanders' new stadium in Washington unless they revert their name back to Redskins, writing, make Indians great again, Miga.
Spectacular.
Live from America TV. ICE head Todd Lyons says that agents will arrest anyone found in the U.S. illegally and crack down on the employers of unauthorized workers. American jobs should be with American workers. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo, says Toria Brooke. Andrew Cuomo, who is running for New York City mayor, is an independent. By the way, what is the latest in New York? Do they have multiple? They have a Republican and an independent? They need to combine their resources to make sure this Mandami guy is kept out. They need to partner up, whatever that looks like. But former Governor Andrew Cuomo says he will leave the city and move to Florida if socialist candidate Zoran Mamdani wins, according to the New York Post. Greg Abbott says property taxes are on the special session agenda beginning tomorrow. Legislation to cut property taxes. Legislation to limit spending by government entities that impose property taxes. That's a good step, but get rid of them altogether. Special session begins. SB 3, the bill that Governor Abbott vetoed that would have banned hemp statewide, will be among the first items the legislature debates. Abbott calls for regulation over hemp prohibition. What is this? Waka Flocka changes his Instagram avatar to Jim Carrey. It appears to be the comedian in the film The Truman Show. According to Google, The Truman Show synopsis begins with he doesn't know it, but everything in Truman's Burbank. in Truman Burbank's life is part of a massive TV set. The rapper's avatar change coincides with the posting the video of Obama saying boys need gay men in their lives to be complete. What? Waka calls the former president a deceiver and asks, why are y'all agreeing with this? Kids, never be this fool and deceiver. Obama tripping, and y'all agreeing with this. Return our chief and our Cleveland Indians. So that's interesting. Waka Flocka Flame is losing support, losing Obama's. The luster is falling off of Obama. I think when you see him in shackles, you see his perp walk, and there is no other way. I don't think there's any other way. I don't think we can get through it any other way. Or else they're just going to do it again. But if you make examples out of him and put him and Pelosi and Clinton and Fauci and everybody at Alcatraz, it'll be expensive is what they're saying, but if that serves as a national reminder of why you never do what they did, yeah, make it a tour. Put them in a plexiglass cage and you get to tour and you get to look in on them like it's a zoo. You know, their free range privileges are during tour time. This is either treason or I don't understand what treason is. One or the other. All right, what is this? 2 years later, says Seth Harp, after much litigation, the Army finally discloses that another 51 soldiers died at Fort Bragg in 2023, far more than any other military base. How is that possible? The public is no longer authorized to know. All the circumstances of death are now redacted. Here's one example. The Army now redacts Box 4F, making it impossible to say how this soldier from the 1st Information Op Command lost his life, except that it's officially categorized as an accident, as are 15 others, the most accidents in 1 year I've ever seen. When this soldier died, local news reported that he fell unconscious after wrestling with a friend, but his casualty report shows that his death was homicide under undisclosed circumstances. Fort Bragg is constantly hiding soldier deaths and covering up crimes. If you weren't aware of that story, take a look at it. I was unaware. Here's a post from Mike Barra. No sound? Then why is it playing? Mike says, you guys are not getting it. Oh, by the way, Mike is the co-host with me on Strictly Football. Coming up soon with our next episode. Got to figure out the best day and time. But we do one episode per week, and maybe we'll do that through the preseason as well. Talking football. Mike and I cover some heavy shit when it comes to the world of current events. So it is nice to get away from it all and get back to sports. Cleveland Brown. Cleveland Browns were named after Paul Brown. We name our stuff after stuff. We can be the Cleveland Indians. Bring it back to the Indians and then change it to the tribe, if you must. I want to celebrate one championship as the Cleveland Indians. It was just that woke mind virus. We had to get scalps, coincidentally. The woke mob collects scalps. Just like the Indians used to do with the settlers, and they'd get paid. They were the mercenaries. Different people would hire different groups of Indians to go after other groups and bring back. Those are the number of people we killed. Prove it by bringing their hair and their skin. I scalp them. Yikes. That's what the woke mob is turned into. Haha, we took down the Redskins. Check, I got a scalp. Check, took down the Indians. How damn literal. Hey, we got so-and-so canceled from the thing. Oh, we got so-and-so fired from the thing. And it's just, it never stops. It's a constant outrage machine that you have to feed. You must feed the beast. And if there's not enough of it happening naturally, you got to go out and create it. You have to go out and push hoaxes. Bubba Wallace. By the way, has anyone seen the Tennessee Titans news? I haven't. I heard the story, but I haven't seen the information. But anyway, Mike and I cover some heavy stories, but we like talking about sports for that very reason. How do I get rid of this? How do I get this off the screen? I don't think I can. Mike is saying you guys are not getting it. Do you really think? Do you really think it's a coincidence? Less than a week after Trump decided not to release the Epstein list, it's pretty obvious the way this is going. All the bad actors in Hollywood, politics, business, the so-called elite, they made deals in return for not being exposed. They agreed to leave the stage. This is just the beginning. So, do you agree or disagree with that? That a lot of these people resigning from positions, it's all part of the plan. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Time will tell. Time will tell. Danielle D'Souza says, meet U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll. He just apologized to pro-life groups for being labeled terrorists under Joe Biden. He called it inaccurate, serious, grievous, and deeply inappropriate. The woke left's war on God, life, and truth is crumbling. Put amen button. They tried. Oh, they tried to normalize all sorts of abnormal stuff. They failed. Thank God. All right, General Mike Flynn, lay it out. It feels like it's all happening now.
Needed to go through this because we're at our 250th year mark. And for us to survive another 250 years, the American people, particularly the American people, needed to have us go through this. I hate to be at the fulcrum of it, and same with Trump. I know he didn't want to be there either. You too, Steve, and others, Peter Navarro, another one. There's other people that got hurt by this, Roger Stone. So all I'm saying is I do believe, and I've had to kind of come to grips with this, that I believe that our country, our nation, if we're going to continue to be a beautiful constitutional republic that we are for another 250 years, we needed to go through this pain. And we needed to demonstrate to the American people that there is evil in the world. There's definitely evil right here in our country. So I really believe now, looking back, and again, I to a bit tongue in cheek, I say they picked the wrong Irishman, and they did, because I think that had they gone after somebody else or allowed somebody else to be in a position, maybe that person wouldn't have been strong enough to be able to withstand the body blows that I know that I took. And certainly Donald Trump as well, because I don't want to discount what he and his family have experienced, nor do I want to ever discount what my family and I have experienced. But I do believe that there is some faith-based reason, and maybe it is. Maybe it's one of those sort of God knows, but our nation needed to go through this, and now we know. And we are going to recover. So the action, the sort of the action plan coming out of here, Steve, is pay attention, focus on what we need to be doing. So we have to stay heavily involved.
Hang on. We're only going to recover. We have to take this to its ultimate conclusion. The only way we're going to recover is you have to identify everyone associated with this. You have to get all the facts on the table. It has to be adjudicated. They have to be held responsible. And I think the charge here is going to be treason.
Needed to go through this.
Do you agree or disagree with Steve Bannon that the charge needs to be treason? What say you? Type it in the comments. QOTD, question of the day. Agree or disagree that this needs to result in treason charges? Yeah, so time for treason charges button. Time for treason charges. I agree, but what say you? James Woods here agrees. He says, now that the evidence has finally seen the light of day, the Republican Party is standing at the crossroads. If people aren't arrested in handcuffs and tried in courts of law, the GOP is dead. If, however, the DOJ does their duty, the Democrats are likewise finished. Forever. Stephen Miller says, DNI Gabbard has exposed the startling depths of a seditious coup against the Republic. The forces behind this coup have done and will do anything to protect their grasp on illegal and illegitimate power. Do not underestimate them. Full steam ahead button. Full steam ahead. This is a pretty great one from 300 Guns. You should follow them on Instagram. By the way, make sure you're following the New American Media on Instagram and Facebook. It helps our numbers if you follow, if you subscribe, share it to a friend. I don't know. Oh, here's a question of the day. If you could type it in your comments. Patriot Warrior says, QOTD, yes. Treason, 100%. Sid over in the Cape says, treason, yes. If they're not punished for what they've actually done, it will happen again. If you punish them appropriately, it'll be a reminder. It's like when Vlad the Impaler would drive the stakes of the severed heads at the entrance to the... It's like, we're leaving a mark. We'll let that body sway there in the wind for a while to remind you what happens to looters. Looters will be hung. You know, there's Wild West. You talk, oh, they found a noose at the Tennessee Titans Stadium. I'm like, my whole life, have I ever heard a noose story? I've heard the hauntings of a noose story from the past. But what I mainly hear is Bubba Wallace. Oh, you mean there's a pull string on the garage door? So it's like a loop, and you grab the loop and you pull it down. Oh, no, there's a loop. By the way, the gallows were widely used in the American West. That's an American Southwest staple. It's not just a racist Southeastern United States slave state thing. No way. I watched the movie Young Guns with Emilio Estevez. You had to shoot, pew, had to shoot the string and you fell down. Brian, are you really getting your American history from Emilio Estevez? You're damn right I am. Anyway. Yeah, treason charges. You leave a reminder of why you don't do what was done. That's Alcatraz is a symbol of don't you dare. We'll put our worst of the worst over there. And is there anything worse than a Fauci and Obama, a Clinton at this point? Literal traitors staging coups of acting sitting presidents. There's regular politics to try to win your next election, to, oh, I want to expose the other guy. Oh, you know, I'm going to talk trash about him. It's so different than what we've lived through. And the stakes have never been higher. Our nation is literally facing a life or death decision. And our right to determine our own country has been taken from us. And that's not acceptable. It's just not. But follow 300 Guns here on Instagram. It says, at this rate, the only ones not involved in Russia-Trump collusion were Russia and Trump. It's pretty well said. All right, Clay Travis lays it out here. And, you know, did you notice this? Here, let me look at this over the weekend. You had WNBA players. Can you name 3 of them? Anybody? I can actually name 2 of them because you have like a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson thing going on. Drafted in the same year. They had a beef back in college, or at least they had a rivalry in college. One black, one white. I think Angel Reese is black. I don't know. She looks very light skinned there. She looks like the same. It's like a washed out photo. I don't know. Is she that light skinned? I thought she was darker. I don't know. But the WNBA is trying to play up their Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, black, white into the league at the same time. Beef back in college, or at least competitiveness. Angel Reese was really just rude and in your face and taunting. Really low class. You win with class is what you're taught. You're Barry Sanders. You go in the end zone and you hand the ball to the ref. Yeah, I know I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, and I know he planted Oklahoma's flag in the center of the horseshoe in a very aggressive act. I understand it all. I get it all. But I can name those 2 on the left. That's Caitlin Clark on the top with the Indiana Fever. And Angel Reese from Chicago something. Fire or Liberty or that's neat. I don't know. Chicago. What's her team? I don't know. Chicago something. I don't know who the other 2 are. No, we don't really, because they're not household names is the point of this story. So at their All-Star game, they get matching T-shirts that say, "Pay us what you owe us." It's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Who's not paying? Who's stealing from you? Nobody's stealing from them. Nobody's stealing. Clay Travis says, if WNBA players were paid what they are actually owed, they would need to pay back $256,000 each to the owners for the lost money that their salaries cost. Grok breaks it down and says, indeed, based on 24 data, latest available, the WNBA lost $40 million. By the way, isn't that the same number that Stephen Colbert lost? 40. I'm going to type that in the comments. $40 million lost last year. Does Stephen Colbert own the WNBA too? Because the Late Show lost $40 million last year. Oh, that's interesting. A couple days apart, similar story. So yeah, player salaries were $20 million. The league lost $40 million. With 156 active players in 25, 13 teams times 12, each would theoretically need to pay back $256,000 to cover the loss and break even. So, I mean, this is the epic girl math fail of all time. Pay us what you owe us. Huh? Any of you earning a living in a league that's failing, I mean, you should wake up and thank the lucky stars. Thank your lucky stars you get to do this for a living. By the way, half the country, roughly, is female. If half the country wanted to support lady basketball, the ratings would be through the roof. You'd all be making a whole bunch of money. The league is losing money. There's no money to give out. It's more expensive to have the WNBA than to not have it. In the way Caitlin Clark's been treated, maybe she should just go get some money on the side, and go do something else. But yeah, the lady's saying, pay us what you owe us. You're the ones that owe the owners. Your product is losing money because you're not being supported by your demographic. It's nobody else's fault. That's not a wrong. That's just what the situation is. I think that's a pretty good joke, though. $40 million lost last year. Does Stephen Colbert own the WNBA too? But ching. All right. End Wokeness put this out and says, Mogadishu? Nope. Minneapolis victory party of Omar Fadi after he won the Minnesota Democrat an endorsement. Minneapolis might elect this Omar Fadi, who said white people are the, how did he phrase it? The terrorists? The biggest threat to society? F-A-T-E-H. Let me look it up to be accurate. Here, let's play the clip.
عليكم مقعي وايكي حسن وعادوا فرحنا مانتا ولكن عمر فاتح نقدر next mayor Minneapolis وهيستوريك واي وعرجنا سومالي دقيق Minneapolis صباحا وعودي عليكم مقعي وايكي حسن وعادوا فرحنا مانتا.
This is Minneapolis.
ولكن عمر فاتح نقدر next mayor Minneapolis وهيستوريك واي وعرجنا سومالي دقيق Minneapolis صباحا وعودي عليكم مقعي وايكي حسن وعادوا فرحنا مانتا.
So this is Minneapolis wants to be represented by a foreigner. Someone who is not, he wasn't born in, let me double check. I want to be accurate mostly. Maybe he was born in the United States. Omar Fadi. Okay, he was born in the United States. Fateh. All right, so he's born in Washington, D.C. He had the quote. And by the way, an ethics complaint was filed against him for violating Senate conduct rules by attacking opponents personally. He said the real domestic threat is whites. He said the real domestic threat in Minneapolis are whites. So that's who this guy is. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. Just thought you might want to know what's going on in Minneapolis. President Trump posted an AI video of Obama being arrested. You want to see something incredible? Gotta mute it. Here you go. Come on. How excited are you for when this happens? On the ground, pal. We don't take kindly to traitors around here. I mean, Obama's been committing treason for years and years, thinking he was above the law. Will anything ever happen? I mean, oh, there he is, Obama in a jail cell. Yeah, let's put this into reality, people. This guy came after your online right to expression, your First Amendment, came after your guns every single chance that he could. Full steam ahead button. Yeah, we've been ready. Kevin says he's conditioning the sleepy. Yeah, so stop with the theater. Yeah, this comment here, this echoes David Bann. Stop with the theater and actually prosecute. I'm so effing sick of the political theater and talk. So either ain't nothing going to happen or something is going to happen. All right, so here's a theory on the Epstein whistleblowers. Take a look. The real reason the Epstein client list is never getting released, according to the CIA whistleblower. Is there just video on this?
Epstein, in my view, is a textbook case of an access agent.
The textbook case of an access agent. You and I don't have all the files on this. We don't know if he was an asset back to Iran-Contra in the 1980s, 50 years ago. We don't know what we don't know on this one. But he's saying here this is an access agent.
I've said this before, but I think it's important and it bears repeating. If you are a foreign intelligence
this is on the Patrick Bet David podcast. They're not showing me this guy's name.
Service, and you want information from Bill Clinton or Bill Gates or Alan Dershowitz or important people, you want the secret information from them. You're not going to recruit them. They don't need anything from you. They don't have any financial vulnerabilities. So you do the next best thing and you recruit somebody who has access to them. Jeffrey Epstein, in my view, is a textbook case.
So that's what they're claiming here. CIA whistleblower who works for Sputnik. So he works for Sputnik too, a Russian government news outlet. So, you got Russian propaganda coming back now. I'm just trying to find out what's actually happening. Specifically said he believes Epstein, 66, was employed by Israel's intelligence service, Mossad, and that's why the list won't come out. Believes an Mossad access agent, Kirikou. Is that John Kirikou? It has never been established that Epstein had ties to Mossad. Epstein, in my view, textbook case of an access agent. I think it's important. It bears repeating. All right. Is this true? 72 years ago, the U.S. learned about Joseph Stalin's death for the first time. 72 years ago, the U.S. learned about Stalin's death for the first time when a 21-year-old Air Force staff sergeant intercepted a coded message from Russia. That sergeant was Johnny Cash. Is that real? Typed in part of the question. Well-known story connecting the two figures indirectly. In the Air Force, Morse code operator in Landsberg, West Germany, Johnny Cash reportedly intercepted a Soviet transmission announcing the death of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin March 5 of 1953. According to Cash's autobiography and various sources, he was the first American to transcribe this critical message, which he then relayed to his superiors. This made him one of the first in the Western world to learn of Stalin's death, a significant event during the Cold War. Wow. Just looked this up. It's true. I fell into a burning ring of fire. Joseph Stalin went to hell. And his ideology was a liar. And it burned, burned, burned. Come. Nimbus making an appearance. Come. Come. Can you make the jump? Let's go. There he is. Nimbus has entered the chat, everybody. Nimbus, let's say hi to everybody. Let's look over here. He tolerates chin rubs sometimes. And then sometimes he'll bite. Here it is, everybody, your moment of zen. You all like when Nimbus joins the program. He likes that spot. He goes, okay, that's nice. That's nice. All right. Nimbus says, whoa, whoa. He is a little more unsteady than he used to be in this age. But he is receiving an mRNA therapy that's given him his bounce back. So for what it's worth, I want to be fair to mRNA. What's it called? Silencia, maybe? Not an endorsement. Maybe I should get an endorsement, but it's given him an extra year or two. I mean, he was starting to not be able to jump or move, and now he jumped right in my lap. He thought about it. He had to make sure he was stable, but. Oh, Lake Leon, clever. That Omar Fadi was born in Washington, D.C. That's not in the United States of America. It's a District of Columbia. All right. Interesting distinction you made there. And Johnny Cash decoded that Stalin was gone. Oh, is this a second Officer Tatum video from today?
Most of the kids that are dealing with transsexual transitioning and stuff are on the spectrum.
Most of the kids dealing with this, the confusion, they're on the spectrum. So they would need protection and assistance, not abuse.
Really need services in that category. They don't need to get pushed off a cliff because they're struggling with identity, they're struggling with acceptance and other things that come with being on the
Oh, there's piano on it. Large majority of these kids have been abused. They don't want to talk to you about. And then a lot of these kids, the reason they want to do stuff before puberty is because it literally corrects a lot of the hormonal things that are going on in young people. It causes them to feel confused. So when they hit puberty, it begins to resolve the confusion because their hormones are now organized in a more balanced and appropriate way, he says, for them to grow as a person that they were. But they want to catch them before they hit puberty. Therefore, they can manipulate the pubescent experience and end up having your kid tricked. Another thing that I talked about really was important is how does a kid come back from that when a kid has come out as trans and they're making all these accommodations for the kid and all of these special treatments. Well, if the kid decides, wait a minute, I don't know if I really feel like this anymore. It's nearly impossible for a young person to have that much confidence and maturity to go back away from it. So you no longer want to be in this class. I no longer want to wear the flag. I don't want to be called these pronouns and all this attention is on me. And I feel bad by turning my back on everybody who were allies and forcing this down the throats of everybody else. So what do? They run the course. They get mutilated. They get breasts cut off and sterilized. I mean, you go down a list and they'll never be able to recover from it. They live a life of shame, and it's sad because who's pushing this? The parents, the teachers, the government on the innocent children, and it needs to stop. I'll sum this up. This needs to stop. Button. Elephant in the room. These innocent kids' lives matter. Yep, if the WNBA was honest, these are the shirts that they would have. I owe the NBA money. The NBA has been subsidizing these losses year after year after year after year. By the way, Nimbus says hi to everybody who's saying hi to him. Sid and Patriot Warrior. You know what? I need to put Nimbus on like a mug. I'll sell some merch. I'll have some Nimbus gear. He's a co-host of the show. Nimbus is my co-host. That'd be a good mug to put in the store. Nimbus is my co-host. Produced by Nimbus. Hey, watch this and remember, this dude looks cracked out of his mind, Governor Newscum. I used to live in Los Angeles, and I had property that I managed up in Palisades. We lost a 300-unit building or 130-unit building, something like that. California Senate passed SB 549, according to California for Dummies. California is for Dummies. Allowing LA County to acquire fire-damaged properties at minimal cost and turn them into low-income housing on the beach now. Less than 6 months ago, Gavin did this weird shimmy and said that this wouldn't be a land grab.
Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks. Myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already.
Yep. So you don't want people coming in and buying up properties, huh, Nimbus? Right. What? Gavin Newsom is doing just that. Land grab. Land grab. Here's another 300 guns. Here's the new flag that we could all wave around. Obama for prison 2025. Would you wave this flag? Would you put this outside your house? By the way, isn't it past time that we indict Adam Schiff as well?
No, I don't agree with that at all. I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy in plain sight. That it is very possible that the best evidence is yet to come. But look, you can see evidence in plain sight on the issue of collusion. George, there's ample evidence of collusion of the campaign, and it's...
The Senate Intel Chairman also said at this point, no evidence of collusion at this point. Have you seen, do you have direct evidence of collusion with Russia?
Well, I think there is direct evidence. While there's abundant evidence of collusion, but as I've said all along, there's plenty of evidence of collusion. And you've said on this show and others that there is direct evidence of collusion. Were you wrong about that now that you've seen the summary of the Special Counsel's report? No, because I was saying no collusion.
Well, what's your evidence?
They're just wrong.
You've been saying that on TV for years.
Well, I will tell you, and I've also been saying, as you know, that the evidence is in plain sight. No, I don't agree with that at all. I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy in plain sight. That it is very possible that the best evidence.
So yeah, Schiff is a traitor. Nimbus is both the name of a dark gray storm cloud, the cumulonimbus, and it's also the name of a something from Harry Potter. I didn't name him Nimbus. Hang on, he's here right now. Oh, he's giving me the... You see his paw? Hold on. Here, let me change the... There we go. Nimbus will be a part of me. Or Nimbus will be a part of the show. He reaches out and gives you the handshake. Well, hello, good sir. Well, hello to you, sir. Hi. And now for your moment of zen. Nimbus is like, I want to go to a head spa. This really is like your moment of zen. Yeah, don't fall off the desk, buddy. 19 years with this dude. 19 years. All right. Yeah, Adam Schiff. Let's do Schiff for Alcatraz. Button. Schiff for Alcatraz would be wonderful. All right, let's go side by side. Nimbus is guiding the show from here on out. All right, Paul Sperry here says, breaking, director, just to kind of break down what we're even talking about, make sure we have this right. Yeah, Nimbus is our mascot. I would be the Cleveland Nimbuses. That's degrading to be a mascot. That would be great to be a mascot. My cat's name is Cat. She is 19 years old. Yeah, well, that's crazy. My cat is 19 years old, too. All right, I'm going to put out for my TNAM meme team. Can somebody make the image of Nimbus wearing a t-shirt that says, pay me what I'm worth, since he's my co-host? Pay me what I'm worth. Nimbus wearing a shirt. Somebody make this happen with AI. Oh, that'd be so funny. I wonder if Grok could make that. Oh, hi. He's shaking my hand again. Here, let me show you this because it's so darn cute. Where is it at? His handshake is so fun. All right, Paul Sperry says, breaking, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, said, we have whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork, including what is INCLG? Including intelligence analysts who worked on Obama and Brennan's fraudulent ICA, who are disgusted by what happened, and their affidavits will be provided to the Department of Justice. Yeah, whistle while we work. By the way, this account here says, if we can put serial numbers on every dollar bill, we can put one on every ballot. Why don't we have serial numbers on every ballot so they can't be fraudulently tallied up? That should be the case. I assumed it always was. Oh, thank you, Sid. Sid says, 19 years old for Nimbus. That speaks very highly of you as a cat dad. Well, I don't know if he would have made it I don't know if he would have made it 19 years if you were out on the mean streets of Los Angeles, like his kinfolk. But I tried. Oh, hi. I like doing the headbutt thing because then you can hear him purr. And he can't bite you. He just gets fired up sometimes. But yeah, if we can put serial numbers on dollar bills, can't we put it on ballots? I think we should. Dinesh D'Souza says, I'm hearing that we can't put Obama in handcuffs because that might cause civil... let me go big. Because that would... I love that Nimbus is in the frame. Hi, guy. Yeah, he's chilling. I like doing this, too. Using the goatee and just be like, hi, buddy. But then I'll start sneezing sometimes. All right, Dinesh says, I'm hearing that we can't put Obama in handcuffs because that might cause civil unrest. But wait, Democrats didn't hesitate to drop 90-plus charges on Trump. They were ready to lock him up for life and deal with the ensuing civil unrest. Besides, no one is above the law. Hey guy. Hey. Dinesh says, if they can arrest Trump, we can arrest Obama. If they weren't concerned with civil unrest, confident that they controlled the cops and the military, we are now in the same position. They said, no one is above the law, and now that's what's operating our philosophy. Another article here, Scott Pressler sharing this. Check out my interview with Scott Pressler. Are you aware that I interviewed Scott Pressler? Coming now? Okay, or jump down, whatever. I interviewed Scott Pressler at the Republican convention last year. Check out that interview on Rumble and YouTube. Trump's DOJ wants Pennsylvania and other states to turn over voter lists and election info. 9 states received requests for information over the past 3 months, according to letters from the DOJ obtained by State Line. It's time to fortify our elections. I'll just leave it at that. It's time to fortify our elections. Hey, remember Joan Rivers? As we're trying to figure out who Obama is, who he was, what he's been up to, and the ideology being pushed by him and his ilk and all of those things. Let's talk about it, shall we? Close this one. Close this one. Close that one. There we go. All right, Joan Rivers, remember? Never let this video be forgotten.
Think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh. Do you think that the...
Did you know? Died mysteriously in surgery a couple weeks later during a routine type procedure. She knew the secrets. She spoke truth, and then she was silenced forever. Like Seth Rich, maybe. Like the Obama chef, maybe. Who's more dangerous, the Clintons or the Obamas? Huh? Ask Andrew Breitbart. By the way, on a similar vein, Luke at We Are Changed, who we interviewed, go back and check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. Here's Ghislaine Maxwell leaving her cell to name names. Uh-oh. You've seen the movie. This doesn't end well. Ghislaine Maxwell. All right, Michael Schellenberger wants you to know some stuff. The media said Trump was all bark and no bite when it came to defending free speech and democracy in Brazil. This is a big story, and I don't know how familiar you are with Lula and Bolsonaro and what's going on, but this is important. Brazil matters. So Michael Schellenberger says the media said Trump was all bark and no bite when it came to defending free speech and democracy in Brazil. But now he's imposed a travel ban on the Supreme Court justices persecuting its former president, Jair Bolsonaro. This comes hours after police raided his home. They're doing to Bolsonaro what they did to Trump. When U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced in May new visa restrictions on foreign officials who censor Americans online, many Brazilian elites scoffed, dismissing it as purely performative. Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes, one of the most awful people, the powerful jurist behind Brazil's sweeping censorship regime. Yeah, it's like the Obama henchman that wouldn't let you talk about the 2020 election. You couldn't talk about COVID. You couldn't talk about treason. You couldn't talk about the real story of January 6th. You couldn't talk about anything because that's who Obama is. That's who Alexandre de Moraes is. That's who the deep state is. That's why they have 19% approval. And they threaten and try to intimidate everybody else. If that doesn't work, they're disappeared, right, Joan Rivers? Right, Seth Rich? Right, Obama chef? Right? Alexandre de Moraes, the powerful jurist behind Brazil's sweeping censorship regime, and the man who just banned former President Jair Bolsonaro from running again next year. He's been banned from running for president again next year. They're literally doing the same thing that they tried to do to Trump. You cannot let them get away with it. It was a fraud with Trump. It's a fraud over here. They tried to frame Trump for an insurrection. And with that insurrection, ineligible. Oh, the 20th Amendment, right? They tried to make Trump ineligible after they removed him in a coup, after they tried to remove him from impeachment twice in coups, after they used fake evidence, air quote evidence, to spy on him in his entire campaign. He's been set up and framed the entire time. In fact, many are arguing with this much corruption and treason during his first term, he should actually get a full term to compensate for that. Would you be in favor of that? I don't know. When's the last time we found treasonous actors that overthrew the sitting U.S. president in a treasonous, traitorous coup? Well, we watched it with Obama Clinton. From 2016 all through 20. And then they tried to jail him and off him from 20 to 24. Could it be argued that that whole first term was tainted by what the treasonous Democrats did? Therefore, the eligibility should be removed and subtracted because he had to overcome the deep state actively fighting against him? I don't know. It could be argued. I don't know that I'd agree or disagree off the top of my head, but in Deb, I don't think it was 1 year later. I think it was like less than 2 months later, like seven weeks later. Let's ask Grok. I like the logo, Nimbus, before he goes on air with Brian. That's funny. Thank you for sharing that, Deb. I thought it was 7 weeks. Let me ask. How long was it between when Joan Rivers said Michelle is a tranny? Did she die? I say 7 weeks, less than 2 months. Approximately 2 months, July 3 to September 4. Okay, so exactly 2 months. Her death was officially ruled a result of medical complications. Hello, ADMPDLT team. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Yeah, but it was 2 months. 2 months, Deb. 2 months in between. Good documentary on Ghislaine Maxwell on Netflix. 3 parts, shows video of Trump and Epstein and Joan Rivers at a party with Ghislaine and Epstein. All the elite mingled together. Yeah, everybody was at all the parties. So there's outer ring stuff. That I said this whole Epstein thing, I need an explanation. It's a dartboard. Outer ring, middle ring, inner ring, bullseye. What is the Epstein story? It was all about access and power and control and hedge funds and stock trades and making money and hiding money, saving money, and probably all the party stuff you could imagine. Have a few drinks, have a few tokes, have a few bangs. Okay, those are called parties. Didn't you go to these in high school? They were called the same thing. Where does the story turn into abuse? Where does it happen? Is it simply hiring prostitutes? Inviting models over to, they weren't on payroll, but they knew if they made other people happy, they'd be in turn made happy. I don't know, like how, nope, there was a 5-year-old kid. Okay, and what, and where, and how long, like what do we know? We know the accusations. We know just how deep the rabbit hole goes. But what's proven? What do we actually have? When we say the Epstein files, we mean what do we got? What's the story? And it sure sounds like this administration was given a load of happy horseshit with all the stuff that would have got them in trouble removed, and the rest of it framed to absolutely destroy the Republican Party forever. What do you do in that case if that's what they do? I don't know, but it seems like that's what they're telegraphing. And yeah, association does not constitute guilt of anything. So there's outer ring, middle ring, inner ring, bullseye stuff. The fear is that merely being associated with the outer ring would get people ruined. And yeah, how many fake accusers would you find? Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was between that year and that year. Prove I wasn't. I got the psychological trauma to prove it. I can tell you the same story over and over again, and it'll never change. Just pay me off and I'll go away. There's complications to this. And I want every human abuser, especially child abuser, I want justice like everybody else. But this president and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi, I don't think many of us were on the Bondi train. But if you would have said Bongino and Patel and Trump 1 year ago, if you were given the opportunity and said, look, would you let Bongino, Patel, and Trump take over the Epstein investigation and handle it appropriately so that justice is done? Find me a better option. I would have taken that. I would have said, all right, cool. Yeah, please, let's do that. Now, we're here today and it's not really satisfying, but This is what we voted for. But when we say give us the Epstein list, tell us what was the case. It was just Diddy throwing a big party and it was all voluntary, going to the orgy room and lube up, or he was drugging people. He was hitting ladies. He was keeping people chained up. They were torturing and abusing humans. I don't know. There's lots of accusations, but Comey was the fix-it person for both of them, huh? It's weird. But what Alexandre de Moraes is doing is what the deep state was doing under Obama, destroying you and your life if you opposed the regime that was installed as Biden in 2020. All the bellwether counties are like, no, this is a Trump landslide. Look at the map of red and blue. The only places Joe Biden allegedly won were just the deep blue cities that could have been manipulated through drop boxes, mail-in ballots, vote tabulation machines of any denomination, no particular company in particular, just their code was proprietary, so they didn't have to show you full forensic audits. The cases were never brought in front of a judge where they could be adjudicated. They just claimed nobody had standing. They hurried up and rushed it through and stamped it approval because Trump was upsetting the DC money laundering grift, and they needed to hurry up and get rid of him. And they were both in on it, from Cheney and Kinzinger to Pelosi and Schiff. Both sides were in on it, Pompeo and Pence. Hurry up, rubber stamp it, get it through. And anyone that objects, we'll make an example out of them, throw them in jail for life for simple trespass, call it an insurrection. Even though none of the people there thought Biden legitimately won. Oh no, Biden totally won, but let's go seize control through violence anyway. Nobody was saying that because nobody believed that. Nobody thought Biden won. Anyway, the story of Brazil and Alexandre de Moraes is the same as Obama, Biden, the deep state. Jair Bolsonaro, the story of Trump. This judge banned Bolsonaro from running next year and reportedly told allies that Donald Trump wouldn't follow through and that nothing would come from Marco Rubio's threat about visa restrictions on foreign officials from Brazil. But now Rubio's State Department has blocked entry into the United States, not only to Moraes, but also to his allies on the Supreme Court and their immediate family members. Moraes has been able to rule with tyranny with no sign that anyone would oppose it, said a Trump administration official. Where did that go? Hold on. Said a Trump administration. It skips ahead here. Oh, there we go. Said a Trump administration official. This would allow that resistance within Brazil to increasingly manifest itself. Moraes has been able to rule with tyranny with no sign that anyone would oppose it. This will allow that resistance within Brazil to increasingly manifest itself. The decision comes at a dramatic moment. A few hours ago, Brazilian police raided the home of former President Jair Bolsonaro following an order yesterday, once again by Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. Think Letitia James. Think Fani Willis. Think Alvin Bragg, the completely corrupt Democrat deep state plants that are framing their political opposition to lawfare him into silence and bankruptcy, to ruin his fucking life. Very few people have the resources, by the way, to defend themselves the way that President Trump has. That's why what they've done has usually worked. It usually bribes or blackmails or eventually gets its way. Very few people have a war chest to stand up and defend themselves. They only maintain their power through threats and intimidation, political attacks. Moraes told Bolsonaro he has to wear an ankle monitor and halt using social media and not speak to foreign officials. They're trumping him, and then they're going to try to Epstein him. This is important. CNN reports Brazilian authorities have accused Bolsonaro and his son, a congressman, of illegally working with the Trump administration to impose sanctions. President Lula told CNN, and Lula was an escaped convict. The Biden administration got him out of prison so that he could overthrow the country, a lot like how the Biden administration with Obama's people overthrew Ukraine and installed their puppet, Vladimir Zelensky. CNN reports Brazilian authorities accused Bolsonaro and his son, a congressman, of illegally working with the Trump admin to impose sanctions. Lula told CNN that his nation would put Trump on trial. Lula told CNN Brazil would put Trump on trial had Trump done in Brazil what he did on January 6th in the U.S. When asked if the Trump admin was retaliating against Moraes for sentencing Bolsonaro, an official called the police raid an intensification of the persecution that President Trump has called attention to, and said the persecution architecture is linked to the censorship architecture because they're part of the same system, and that system's leader is Moraes. Brazil's elite are famously cosmopolitan and enjoy traveling to New York, Miami, and San Francisco, and other American cities. Oftentimes, foreign officials in question have wives who have social relationships and shopping they enjoy in the United States, said the administration official, and so travel bans can be effective. A Trump admin official would not reveal the names of the other individuals on the Supreme Court who would be denied entry into the U.S., but said that Undersecretary of Public Diplomacy, Darren Beatty, prepared it following Secretary Rubio's 3C visa policy announced in May. Moraes, Brazil's president, and their allies have long denounced criticism of their censorship and persecution of Bolsonaro as foreign interference. They call it foreign interference to protect their attacks on Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro, the people's champ. Bolsonaro, the common sense guy. This is like the dark days of Biden, Obama ruling from behind the scenes. Quote, Brazilian justice must be respected, says President Lula on X last week after Trump imposed 50% tariffs on Brazil. We are a great sovereign country with a historic tradition of diplomacy with all nations. Brazil will adopt the necessary measures to protect its people and companies. Trump admin official dismissed the charges of interference, noting that Brazil's censorship has affected Americans. Quote, the Trump administration has long looked with disapproval at the coordinated censorship by Moraes, which has not only affected the Brazilian people, including former President Bolsonaro, but also spills over to Americans and affects American speech rights, the official said. Brazil's Congress could still grant amnesty to Bolsonaro and protesters imprisoned for a January 8, 2023 protest that resembled where is that? That resembled I guess just down here, just protests that resembled January 6th in Washington, D.C. Comments that Brazil is already a dictatorship. Make Brazil great again. Button. I'll leave that as a comment. So if you're not aware, now you're aware.
You're telling this committee.
Errol Weber, U.S., is sharing this. You want to talk about protecting the kids? Well, could you believe that this is what's up? Take a listen here. How many kids, how many distress calls went unanswered during Biden's regime?
That the Biden administration, while they were letting all of these unaccompanied minors into the country, and as we've talked about today, they weren't keeping track of them, they issued these kids a hotline that they could call. If they had trouble with the sponsor family that they were put with, and you're saying that 65,000 calls to this hotline designated to protect these kids went unanswered? Is that what you're telling this committee?
Yes, sir. One case where a child's call was reporting that grown men were coming into his room at night and they were touching him. Nothing happened with that call. That call went unanswered until this administration took office went through those 65,000 calls, made follow-ups, conducted a welfare check, and now that child has been rescued and that sponsor has been arrested. These are the safeguards that were put in place, but accountability and oversight was not had. I said that it was easier to get a child, yes, than to adopt a dog. You actually had to provide more paperwork to adopt a pet from a pet shelter than you did to sponsor a child.
You couldn't get much more demonic if you tried. This administration has been an abject, this Biden-Obama child laundering, child trafficking, child laundering. Child laundry is very unpopular, as is child laundering. It's just, the more you peel back, the worse this gets. Here's Mike Rowe talking about, moving forward, what do you think America is going to look like? What's going to be a good place to go into?
We've been telling,
as far as careers and jobs, and, oh yeah, you worked in energy. Well, you know what, buddy, learn to code. Learn something useful, they say.
Telling kids for 15 years to code. Learn to code, we said. Yeah, well, AI is coming for the coders. They're not coming for the welders. They're not coming for the plumbers. They're not coming for the steam fitters or the pipe fitters or the HVAC. They're not coming for the electricians. That Ideas Festival I was telling you about in Aspen, I sat there and listened to Larry Fink say we need 500,000 electricians in the next couple of years. Not a week goes by where I don't get a phone call from somebody like the Blue Forge Alliance, who oversees our maritime industrial base. This guy calls and says, we're having a hell of a time finding tradespeople. Can you help? I said, I don't know, man. It's pretty skinny out there. How many do you need? He says 140,000. The automotive industry needs 80,000 collision repair and technicians. Energy, I don't even know what the number is. I hear 300, I hear 500,000. We've been telling kids.
So yeah, the shift is coming. We need people that can actually do things. By the way, everybody, take a look on the screen. This is not what Nimbus looks like, so I'd have to do better, but here's an image of a gray Russian blue cat wearing a t-shirt that says, pay me what I'm owed. I love the capabilities of Grok and artificial intelligence. Pay me what I'm owed. Come on, that's pretty great, right? I think so. There you go. Do a screenshot of that. But yeah, America is changing. Remember these memes where it was an exasperate? And by the way, does that Joe Biden even remotely resemble the other Joe Biden? The one that you've had to put up with for 5 years? I mean, they look like different people. They just look different. But remember these memes? They were the best. It was Biden. You could almost hear him having just finished saying something stupid, and there's an exasperated Obama with his head in his hands, like, oh my God. We could run away to Kenya. I hear you have family there. Shut up, Joe. Shut up, Joe. Oh, yes, I could do that. Wait. Wait a minute. Hold on. I didn't even notice. Hold on. Now I'm going back. Okay, 11 minutes ago, Patriot Warrior made this. He says, I make stuff all the time. Pay me what I'm owed. That is very similar to what I got. Look at that. Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go. Bam. See, this one, it says Nimbus. Does it say Nimbus? Nimbus. Pay me what I'm worth. This one's from John Boy. Well done. Yeah, we need it. Okay, so John Boy is part of our TNAM meme team. So is Deb. Deb shared. Hold on. Wait, let me go back. How do I go back? Here's a logo for you, LOL. Nimbus before he goes on air with Brian. Coffee, because order is wrong. There we go. Yeah, we got the TNAM meme team in effect today. Meme team, unite. Yeah, we could run away to Kenya. I hear you have family there. Shut up, Joe. Just shut up, Joe. You can hear this meme. At least I can. Here's Stephen Colbert's career in a nutshell.
Donald Trump has been sworn in as president of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
I know. We're just as confused as you are. Joe Biden.
Confused. Oh, but look at this. Colbert at home with his champagne. They did it, Joe.
Did it. I sat down and just started crying with relief. And Evie said, you never have to talk about him again. And then I cried with joy. After a
Yeah. See, I like so many of the common sense policies that this administration is putting forward. It's not about the person, it's about the policy. And it's been so backward under Obama. It is almost impossible to define the amount of damage done by Obama-Biden.
bizarre and vicious campaign fueled by a desperate need not to go to jail, Donald Trump has won the 2024 election.
Fueled by a desperate need to not go to jail. Your deep state framed him over and over again to send him to jail. You punks. Stephen Colbert.
Next year.
See, angry and bitter. He knows his time is up. So now he says,
will be our last season.
Oh, so just 1 year later, after 20, not even a year later.
The network will be ending The Late Show in May.
See ya, Colbert. This post here. Portland, Oregon, local journalists are being swarmed by Antifa outside of the Portland ICE facility. Journalists' lives have been threatened repeatedly. And by the way, during our January 6th documentary, Declassified, the unreleased J6 interviews, we interviewed a lady, I believe up in Seattle, her friend was assassinated outside of a Trump event by Antifa. It was Portland or Seattle. I forget which. I think it was Seattle. Maybe it was Portland. The leftist violence is real. This is a war that we are in. The Summer of Love 2020 nationwide domestic terrorism fueled by Kamala Harris, fueled by Barack Obama, Joe Biden, the Democrat Party, the deep state, U.S. aid, all the money laundering, rent-a-mobs, like a real thing. To overthrow the United States of America, and it's all connected. And the same players are in it. Oh, yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert are in it. They're the main propagandists along with The View. Go down the list. Go down the laundry list. They are all complicit. Oh, really, Brian? Everything you don't like is Hitler? Didn't you share that meme? Everything I don't like is Hitler. Everything I don't like is Hitler. You're doing the same thing with them. They're just Democrats. There's nothing wrong here. Everybody does it. It's just politics. Wrong. Wrong. This was all coordinated treason. This is different. This is all coordinated treason from the deep state. And all the information you need is already publicly available. It's just now finally being disseminated in a bite-sized manner that can be comprehended. Now it's a matter of what happens with it. So yeah, journalists being threatened, it's real. They rule in silence. They rule with intimidation.
Who the fuck's got the gun? Go! Go! And get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Go! No, it's not. No, it's not. Pepperball gun. That's a pepperball gun. Pepperball gun! fucking shoot somebody right here. Who the fuck's got the gun? Go! Go! And get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Go!
So, I think the National Guard is well past time. They need to get involved. They need to start arresting these people. Unlawful assembly, get them all in the system. It's a professional gang of domestic terrorists. Deb says, I always loved Jay Leno, and he left the Tonight Show in 2014, probably because he wouldn't sell out to the deep state. Interesting timing. Remember, and Leno also got that black eye all over his, he fell down a hill. That was a story. He was staying at a hotel up on the other side of the thing, and he walked, and he took a shortcut down the hill, and he fell. Or he was sent a message. One or the other. Yeah. I remember Adam Carolla talking about that. But yeah, I was a big Jay Leno fan as well. I believe I've told the story before, but I got to work Stuttering John, not Leguizamo, John Melendez, the voice of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, tonight's guest. And so I got to work, I bartended a birthday party in the backyard in Calabasas. And afterwards, he's like, you want to grab a Corona, hang out for a little bit? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm already here. Like, cool, thanks. I'll have a bite to eat and a Corona, cool. And I just got to be a fly on the wall, sitting in his 50-car garage with, it was probably like a 4 or 8 car garage or 6 car. And it was like all of these old Jewish Tonight Show Hollywood writers, and everybody's cracking jokes and trying to make each other laugh. And I just sat there in a room full. I was in a Tonight Show writing room, and I hung out just as long as I could, just having such a good time. But yeah, I like Jay Leno. I saw a live taping of Jay Leno when it was Blue October, a band that we had known for years. My dad covered their release, Argue with the Tree, and around that early era, early 2000s, Blue October. But then Blue October released Hate Me, and we went to go see them perform that on the Tonight Show stage. I like all that stuff. What year was that? The black eye last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I don't know. Now I'm curious. Pay me what I'm owed. I love that picture. Pay me what I'm owed. Jay Leno. Accidents listed by year. Because he had one where he said he was working on a car and it sprayed at him and he got burned. But then there was one where he said he fell. Fell down a hill 2 years ago, 24. Broken wrist, facial bruising, and a swollen eye, though he still performed later that night. He still performed later that night. That's... Leno broke his collarbone, 2 ribs, both knee, and I think I waved at him once on the PCH. Or more than once. I had De Niro drive past me at a show with the Troubadour. It was just a weird place. He broke both kneecaps in a motorcycle accident after being thrown off of his bike by a wire in 23. Severe burns to his face, chest, and hands in a garage fire while working on a vintage car in 22. He's had 22, 23, 24 big accidents. Anyway, back to Antifa. You know, it's time to get the National Guard in there and get rid of those ongoing threats. We know more about the 2 people on the left, the CEO and the head of HR. After only 4 days, we know more about them than the guy on the right after 12 months. Can you believe that? Yeah, Leno is a pro. He made fun of both sides. You saw him before he made it big at the Last Laugh in San Jose. He did the best Elvis and was so funny. Now I'm thinking about my Leno impression. Yeah. Yeah. I got to work on my Leno. I do a good Leno when I just burst it out, and I got to double check some of my catchphrases on it, but I do like doing a Leno impersonation. According to the Real State of America here, evidence is emerging that Democrat nominee for New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, his father expressed support for suicide bombings in the book that he authored. Is that real? That would be bad news, huh? Mahmoud Mamdani, good Muslim, bad Muslim. S-bombing needs to be understood as a feature of modern political violence rather than stigmatized as a mark of barbarism. We need to recognize the S-bomber first and foremost as a category of soldier. I mean, it is what it is. Is he getting in trouble for talking about it accurately? But, you know, is it support for it or just labeling it properly? Yeah, Leno is a pro. He's just he made fun of both sides, and it was good. It was good humor. A little corny, a little hacky sometimes, but like it was professional. Absolutely. By the way, here's Joe Biden circa January 2017, the day before the release of the ICA. He knew the story that Russia was trying to help Trump was bullshit, but he pushed that narrative anyway. Yeah, and he kept repeating the fine people hoax just like Obama did. These people, these traitors thought that they were invincible. It's time to prove them wrong.
Come back to foreign policy. Have you seen now the report by the intelligence community on Russian hacking?
Yes, I have.
The Democrats during that.
Yes, I've read it.
And?
There is overwhelming consensus in the community and overwhelming evidence supplied by the community that Russia did engage in an effort to impact on the elections.
Will the American people?
Yeah, and we said Obama and Biden thought they were invincible. It's time to indict and convict them both of treason. Let's see if anything happens. And yeah, we have a constitutional republic, but only if you protect it.
We're going to see any accountability here.
Most certainly, Maria. You saw with the report that Tulsi put out. I mean, we're talking about there needs to be criminal prosecution and arrest. You know, lying under oath, putting out a false intelligence report. That's a violation of 18 U.S. Code 1001 that comes with a 7-year prison sentence and up to $250,000 fine. But we're talking about something more nefarious than this. I think that this is a perfect example and reason why there needs to be FISA reform as well. As you know, Maria, that false intelligence report resulted in FISA courts issuing a warrant to illegally surveillance the president of the United States now. And what I can tell you is if we don't stop this, if we don't actually say this will not be tolerated, this is not a Democrat or Republican thing. This is about the health and the sanctity of a constitutional republic. And so there needs to be arrests. This is not partisan. This is simply illegal what they did, and we're simply upholding the law.
Are we ever going to see any accountability here?
Got to get accountability. That's what we're all demanding, folks.
We have now seen a new filing in the Southern District of New York where Jeffrey Epstein was indicted.
Representative Anna Paulina Luna letting this out.
That filing was made by one person alone, Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, who has moved for the unsealing of the grand jury transcripts in that case. Contrary to some of their public statements, they are not seeking just certain grand jury transcripts. They are seeking all of them, albeit with appropriate redactions, they say, for any information that would identify Epstein's victims. And I want to explain to you, or read to you rather, from their 4-page motion about why they say the release of these grand jury transcripts is justified. At the end, Mr. Blanche writes, public officials, lawmakers, pundits, and ordinary citizens remain deeply interested and concerned about the Epstein matter. Indeed, other jurists have released grand jury transcripts after concluding that Epstein's case qualifies as a matter of public concern. And there he is referring to grand jury transcripts from a Florida prosecution relating to Jeffrey Epstein. He says, after all, Jeffrey Epstein is, quote, the most infamous pedophile in American history, end quote, again, quoting to that Florida state court order revealing grand jury transcripts from a Florida state investigation. The facts surrounding Epstein's case quote, tell a tale of national disgrace. The grand jury records are thus critical pieces of an important moment in our nation's history. The time for the public to guess what they contain should end. And then he says the privacy interests on the other side, and those are things that people like me, Paul Butler, and other lawyers, former lawyers on our network have been talking about throughout the day, predicting that a court would not grant this motion. He says the privacy interests at stake on the other side of the balance are substantially diminished due to Epstein's death. Of course, as noted above, the Department of Justice will work with the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York to redact all victim identifying information prior to any release.
So let's see what's revealed and what's unsealed, because some of what's in there appears to have been cooked. Libs of TikTok reporting Republican Representative Mark Green from Tennessee just resigned from Congress. The GOP majority is now down 1 seat. So what do we do with that? What's the story with Mark Green? Was he the one that we knew was going to be resigning, or this is out of nowhere? Stepping back. Okay, well, this is... Why? He just ran for re-election months ago and is now resigning because he wants a different job. These people are incredibly selfish. We need a staunch MAGA Republican in this seat, says Nick Sorter. Personal ambition is bigger than public duty. Elise Stefanik refused to take an ambassadorship to avoid shrinking the majority, but Mark Green, he bolts for a cushy private sector gig. Same Mark Green who made headlines last fall for having an affair and walking out on his wife and family after 35 years of marriage. Self-serving to the bitter end. Oh. Well, that's not going over very well. Divorcing his wife of 35 years, who's claiming he had an affair with a much younger reporter. Okay. So 1 Republican down. This person says, I'm sick of these hit pieces on Representative Mark Green. He's been a conservative hero since being in office. He was an Army doctor before Congress. He deserves respect, not this trashing. Tennesseans love him. He is not going to a cushy job. He's starting his own business to fight China. In the video, Green again hinted at his next job, but wouldn't give specifics, saying he would now go back into the private sector to start my own company. And while I cannot give the details, doing something specifically designed to help America compete against the Chinese Communist Party. In the comments there, Patriot Warrior responding to my Johnny Cash post. Wow, Johnny Cash, cool. I did not know that. Thanks, teacher. That was from a couple episodes ago where we talked about me enjoying teaching, and we're all teaching each other. We're unpacking stories and learning about them in real time. You know, I try my best to report what appears to be accurate. I've probably been wrong, not intentionally. It's where the deep state, when they're pushing something that is Obama, Biden, Schiff, they're all lying to you. Colbert, they're lying to you. They know that they're lying. They're knowingly and intentionally delivering falsities to you. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and we're doing this together, so we teach each other, but Tom Homan and Kristi Noem just announced they'll flood Democrat-run cities, including New York, with ICE agents like never before after a DHS agent was shot in the face in New York yesterday by an illegal alien. Well, there you go. Not surprised one bit. Yep, and that's about all I have for you folks today. Thank you so much for joining me as we unpack the news. I'll be back tomorrow, and I shared a whole bunch of stories on X that I didn't have time to get into today here on the TNAM Daily Show. So check out those things in between. Follow us in all of the places. Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube at The New American Media. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_. Subscribe to our podcast at the Agree to Disagree Show on both Spotify and Apple. Additionally, we're on Patreon if anybody wants to sign up to be a monthly sponsor. Thank you to everybody who already has the New American Media on Patreon. Our tip jar is Venmo and Cash App at BrianEngelman. On Rumble, you can do a Rumble rant. You press the $sign, and then you can tip through that way. Once you set it up, you can tip. And if you let ads play on that show, it's like tossing a penny in our wishing well from advertising revenue on Rumble, which is the new YouTube, a cooler YouTube. And additionally, tip jar PayPal is at fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. Fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. All scrolling at the bottom of the screen if you would like to join us. Thank you all for being here, every one of you. In the comments section, you made it a lot more fun and interactive. Signing off until tomorrow. I appreciate you. I love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.